Good morning. The court is going to take up cause number C200179CPS. This is in the interest of Julian Sean Browning and child. The case is set for resumption of an adversary hearing on an original petition for protection of a child filed by the Texas Department of Family and Protective Services. Participating in the hearing today on behalf of the department is Regional Attorney Deborah Keenum. The mother of the child is Jeanette Navarro, and she is participating in the hearing today with her attorney, Brad Harrelson. The father of the child is Tamaka Browning. He is not currently present in the courtroom, I believe. His attorney of record is Stephanie Goodman, and Ms. Goodman is participating in the hearing today. Andrew Graves is the court-appointed attorney and guardian ad litem for the child, and Mr. Graves is present. The child is excused from participating in the hearing today. Let's see, just a second. Also participating in the hearing today on behalf of the department is caseworker Jessica Turner. And let me make sure I have, Ms. Navarro is there. All right. As I indicated, this is set for resumption of a adversary hearing. Ms. Keenum, is the department ready to proceed?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. And Mr. Harrelson, and are you ready to proceed?
Yes, Judge.
And Ms. Goodman, are you ready to proceed?
Judge, I do not see my client. He informed me this morning that he is on quarantine for COVID exposure, and I asked him if he had the Zoom link. He said he did not, and I didn't have it until I got here to my office. So I've sent it to him. I think he'll be joining us. I would ask that we wait till he's available.
He's here with us.
Okay.
I'm trying to link in.
Okay. Well, we'll see. I'll give y'all a few minutes to try to get his link connected up before we proceed. Let me check with Mr. Graves. Mr. Graves, are you ready to proceed?
Yes, Your Honor.
Good. And Ms. Goodman, just so we can confirm, assuming we can get Mr. Browning hooked in, you're ready to proceed otherwise?
Yes, Your Honor, I do need to make sure with my client that he wants me to continue representing him. We had some communications at the end of the week through the weekend that I just need to make sure that he still wants me to proceed as his attorney.
Okay, you want me to put you and him in a breakout room when he gets connected so y'all can confer? Okay, y'all stand by for just a few minutes while let's see if he gets connected here. Ms. Goodman, while we're waiting on him, I seem to recall you mentioned that you had some pretrial hearings with Judge Weatherby or with one of the other judges. Is that right this morning?
Judge, I believe it's at 1:30.
Okay. All right. Okay, that shouldn't be any conflict then.
Okay.
That's today. Okay.
And Your Honor, I have those as well at 1:30. I think those are Judge Dusick's Starling County District Court pretrials.
Okay. Well, I have another matter set at 1, so even if we were still going, we wouldn't be in session at that point.
Your Honor, we are both here. Mark Browning is here next to me.
Okay, well, I'm going to need him to log on separately because Ms. Goodman needs to confer with him.
Okay. Okay, I'm trying to show him on the Zoom, so bear with me.
Thank you.
Your Honor, he's joining now as we speak.
Thank you. All right, I'm going to go back on the record in C200179CPS in the interest of Julian Browning and Child. All parties in council previously noted as present remain present. In addition, Trey Davis, caseworker for the department, is participating in the hearing along with Tamaka Browning, who is the father of the child. Mr. Browning, Ms. Goodman has requested a few moments to confer with you privately before we begin with the hearing to discuss her representation of you in the case. She indicated you some question about whether you wanted her to continue to represent you in the case or not. I'm not asking you to comment on that. You can discuss that with her. I will tell you, frankly, this case has been reset a number of different times for various reasons. And if after you confer with her, you come back and indicate you do not wish her to continue to represent you, you may find yourself representing yourself at this hearing because I need to proceed with this hearing. So I just want you to be aware that that is one possible outcome if you indicate you don't want her to continue as your counsel for purposes of today's hearing. I'm going to send an invitation to you and Ms. Goodman, and I'll give you all about 4 or 5 minutes to confer, and then I'll bring y'all back in. You'll need to click on that link to go in there. Y'all stand by for just a second. All right, y'all should be getting an invitation to join that breakout room. If y'all go in there, I'll bring y'all back in. It's 8:43 now. I'll bring you back in at 8:48. Thank you.
Your Honor, may I also have a timeout with my attorney? We were not able to speak at all this weekend. He was out of town, and I have not been able to talk to him since he's been gone. May I do that?
If you have your phone number, I've already set up this conference for Ms. Keenum. I can't set it up right now. So, Mr. Harrelson, do you have the number where you can contact her so y'all can confer?
Yes, in fact, I called earlier and I'll call again.
Okay, if you could do that, I appreciate it because I'd have to undo the breakout room I've already done. Ms. Goodman, you should have that breakout.
Okay, thank you, Your Honor.
Oh, I'm sorry. Actually, let me back up. I'm going to have to close that. I think I actually put the wrong person in there. A second. Let me close out that, and I'll just set them both up again. Y'all stand by.
Judge, I accidentally got into Mr. Browning's breakout room.
Yeah, that was my error. I'm going to reset those up. Y'all stand by. I'll set those back up again. And I'll go ahead and do one for Ms. Navarro and Mr. Harrelson too.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Okay, I believe I set them up correctly this time. If y'all click on those and go in there, we'll bring you back in about 5 minutes. Thank you. Ms. Navarro, you should have received an invitation to join that. You'll need to click on that link. Ms. Navarro, did you receive that link? I'm still showing you're in our conference. All right, Mr. Ake, if you'll reflect in the record that they're in the breakout rooms, we'll take a short recess. We'll resume at about 8:49. That's about 3 or 4 minutes from now. Thank you. Everybody else just stand by. All right, Ms. Drake, I'm going to close out those breakout rooms. All right, we are going to go back in the record in C200179CPS in the interest of Julian Browning and child. All parties in council previously present remain present. All right, Mr. Harrelson, I'll go back again. Are y'all ready to proceed?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, Ms. Goodman, are you ready?
Judge, I am ready. I just want Mr. Browning to confirm on the record that he wants me to represent him.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, thank you. All right, is anybody invoking the rule?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, thank you. All right, Ms. Keenum, I'll start with you. Can you identify who you anticipate you may call as witness in the case?
Yes, Your Honor. Jeanette Navarro, Tamaka Browning, Trey Davis, Andrew Rivera, Monica Gloria, Jessica Turner, Officer Andres Castro, Officer Sarah Castro, Debbie Guerrero, Leah Ray, Sarah Coronado, Officer Bruce Stewart, Officer Harley William, and Officer Summer Young.
All right, Mr. Harrelson, do you know who you may call as a witness in the case?
Your Honor, I don't anticipate anyone other than my client.
Okay, thank you. And Ms. Goodman
Just my client, Your Honor.
and Mr. Graves. Mr. Graves, do you have any other witnesses you
I
propose?
apologize, Judge. No, Your Honor.
All right, thank you. All right, let's see. Mr. Davis, I'm assuming, who are you designating as your representative in this?
Jessica Turner will be the representative in this matter.
All right, let's see. Mr. Davis, Ms. Turner, Minister Browning, and Ms. Navarro. I'm going to ask each of you to raise your right hands, please. Each of you solemnly swear or affirm any testimony you give today before the court. Ms. Navarro, I'm going to need you to put your screen on, please. Okay. Do each of you solemnly swear or affirm any testimony you give today before the court will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes.
All right, thank you. All right, Ms. Keenum, your other witnesses are not presently in the courtroom. I'm assuming you're going to make sure they know they're under the rule.
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, let's see, Ms. Turner, Ms. Davis, Mr. Navarro, and Mr. Browning, the rule has been invoked. That means during the course of this hearing, for whatever its duration, you're not to discuss your testimony or the testimony of any other witnesses with anyone other than the attorneys involved in the case. Mr. Davis, since you have identified as a witness, but not as the department's representative, I'm going to need to put you in a virtual breakout room, waiting room, where you can remain until you're called as a witness in the case. You'll be under the rule. You're not to observe the proceedings, not to discuss your testimony or the testimony of any other witnesses with anyone other than the attorneys in the case. If you'll stand by, I'll put you in the waiting room. All right. All right, we're ready to proceed. Ms. Keenan, do you have any opening statement from the department?
Your Honor, the department believes that it had reason to remove the child at the beginning of the case and that there is continuing danger and reason to continue the department as the temporary managing conservator, and that the child continue in the custody of the department.
Thank you. Mr. Harrelson, do you have any opening?
My client disagrees.
Okay. Thank you. Ms. Goodman, any opening?
Judge, from my client standpoint, we disagree with the department as well. It's my understanding that both parties had a negative drug test shortly after the removal, and also that my client has received a letter from the department stating that he was ruled out for neglectful supervision and physical abuse.
Right. Thank you. And Mr. Graves, any opening statement?
Your Honor, I'm in agreement with the position of the department.
Thank you. All right, Ms. Keenum, if you're ready to proceed with your first witness.
Yes, Your Honor. The department would begin with Tamaka Browning.
All right, thank you. Mr. Browning, Ms. Keenum will start with questioning of you, and then the other attorneys may have some questions for you as well. Thank you. All right, Ms. Keenum.
Please state your name for the record.
Tamaka R. Brown
And where do you currently reside?
at 3905 Driftwood Court.
9905
3905.
39. Okay. And what's the name of the street?
Driftwood Court.
And how long have you lived at 3905 Driftwood Court?
3 years. Going on 3 years.
Do you own that home or do you rent that home?
We rent the home.
Whose name is on the lease?
Mine and Ms. Navarro's.
Has yours and Miss Navarro's both always been on the lease?
Yes, ma'am.
How many bedrooms is the home?
It's 2 bedrooms, 2,000 square foot home.
Do you work?
Currently right now, no, I do not. I'm working on my VA benefits for injury from my back, but I am planning to go to work very soon.
When is the last time you worked?
Before COVID, when I was starting my own business.
So before March of 2020 is the last time you were employed?
Yes.
Where did you work?
I worked at Alamo Pressure Pumping. I was fracking, drove CDL, got CDL license, tankers, hazmat, things of that nature.
And how long did you work for Alamo Pressure Washer?
I worked for them. I worked for them for a few months, actually. Just a few months before I broke out to start my own business.
Who was your boss?
I can't even call his name. It's been a while. It was a new crew.
How many months did you work?
Like from October all the way up until like March or so, right before COVID.
And where is that business located?
They was moving last time I was there, so I'm not sure exactly where they're located at right now. But they're located in Midland. They was in Midland. So
Prior to your job at Alamo, where did you work?
Pro Petro.
And how long did you work at that job?
That was a mechanic job. I didn't like that job. I like fracking. So I quit that job less than a month. I didn't like that job. I like being out in the field, fracking with the guys, with the crews.
How much were you paid at the Alamo place?
$20 an hour.
And on average, how long did you work?
Average days sometimes, man, from 12 to 14-hour days normally. Those were like normal days. That's time to drive out to the location, drive back from the location, plus your regular hours that you work.
And how many days a week did you work?
7 days a week. 2 weeks on, 1 week off.
Name your children. Ms.
Name my
Navarro,
children.
I'm going to ask, Your Honor, that Ms. Navarro keep her video on.
Thank you, Ms. Navarro.
Name my children.
Yes. Do you have any other children?
Yeah, I do. My children are grown.
What are the name of your children?
Amaya, Naima, Jalen, Juliet.
Amaya, how old is she?
23.
And what's your next oldest child?
Jalen.
And how old is Jayla?
17, going on 18.
And your next oldest child?
Naima.
On Amaya, can you please spell her name?
AMYYYEAH. I mean, I'm trying to figure out what this has to do with anything.
AMAYYAH. Okay. And
Well,
Jayla, how do you spell that name?
who?
Jayla?
JAELYN.
JAELYN. And your next oldest child?
Naima.
How do you spell Naima's name?
NEIAMA.
And how old is Naima?
She's like 12. What does this got to do with Julian?
And your next oldest child?
That's it.
Okay. Jayla, do you still have legal rights to Jalen?
I don't know what Jalen deal is no more. Jalen's part of a gang right now, so I don't know who got rights to him. Police will have rights to him soon.
Your Honor, I'm going to object that Mr. Browning is not answering the question.
I did answer your question, ma'am. I'm trying to figure out myself what's going on with my son. He's lost.
Do you have legal rights to your son?
No, I guess I don't.
Were your rights terminated as to your son?
No, they were not terminated. They were not.
Was Jalen adopted by another woman?
Yeah, the same one they called me, yes.
So
They told me to
Jalen
take it.
has been adopted?
To my understanding, I don't know. I can't tell you yes or no. I don't know. He came to me for help. He came
Sir,
to me.
has Jalen been adopted?
I don't know. I done told you. I don't know. I'm just telling you what he came to me for.
Was Jalen removed from your care by a Department of Protective Services in another state?
Yes.
Why was he removed from your care?
I don't know.
Were you did not receive Jalen back into your custody, legal custody, is that correct?
Not till recently when he came back to me. No.
Did
When
you
he came back,
legally,
he was
from
40.
that other state, receive custody of your son?
What do you call a runaway?
Your Honor, I'm going
If
to
he
object.
I don't know how to address that one because he ran away from them and came to me. I don't know how to address that issue. I don't know.
Mr. Browning,
He
Mr.
came to
Browning,
me.
Mr. Browning,
Yes, sir.
you need to listen
Yes,
to the
sir.
question and answer the question to the best of your ability. But John,
I don't know how to address it. He
Ms.
ran away. He came to
Ms.
me.
Keenum, Mr. Browning, we're going to have a problem if you keep interrupting me. Ms. Keenum, ask your question again. Mr. Browning, you answer it to the best of your ability. Go ahead, Ms. Keenum.
Did another state legally place your child Jalen back in your care?
No, I guess not. No.
As to your 12-year-old daughter, do you still have legal rights to her?
Yes, I do.
Where is she currently located?
Upstate New York.
And who is she with?
Her mom.
What
I'm not
type,
dragging them in.
what type of rights do you have to her?
Full rights.
Do you visit
I'm not-
her?
When I can, if I can. I talk to her on the phone a lot.
When is
I
the
keep her
last
with-
time you visited her?
It's been a while since I visited her with all this stuff that's been going on.
So has it been over a year?
Possibly, yeah.
Has it been over 2 years?
I don't know. No, I don't think so.
Do you pay child support?
Yeah, I do.
How much child support?
About 200 a month, and plus what I send her extra stuff that she wants, ask for.
Now, you're not currently employed. How are you paying your child support?
I do have a savings account. I did save up some money. I saved a good bit of money, but this is going away fast.
So you'll provide to this court a copy of your bank statement showing those
No,
payments?
I would not. No, I was show the payments for my child support. Yes, not a problem. But like as far as no, my bank statements, no.
When did Jalen come and live with you?
Last year,
When last year?
a little bit after the summer when he was telling me about the lady that adopted him, wasn't feeding him, wasn't doing this, wasn't doing that. He was sending me text messages, Facebook messages, all types of stuff, telling
Your
me
Honor,
all
I'm
this
going
stuff.
to object that he's not answering the question.
I did answer the question, man. It was like that
Well,
sometimes.
I'm gonna let him finish his answer. Go ahead.
He was sending me all these messages, begging me to bring him out here. He was telling me that she wasn't feeding him. She was locking the doors for the food and stuff like that. I was sending him $100 a week. It started out to be. Then $50. Then I was buying him pizza and stuff like that. And he saying he didn't have no clothes, no shoes, no nothing. And finally I'm like, well, what do you want to do? And I got the messages on my phone that he sent to me, begging me to bring him out here.
What
And that's
month,
what we did.
All right, go ahead, Ms. Keenum. Next question.
what month did you bring him out?
It was like right before school started. What August of last year? I'm not sure when school started because I had to get everything set up with the high school central once he got here to get his classes and stuff set up. So it was like, I don't know, June, July, somewhere right in there. I'm not sure.
And your rights to him had been terminated. Is that correct?
Yeah, I signed over. Yes, I signed over.
Was he a runaway in the state?
Yes,
Did you turn him
yes,
in that other state?
yes, I did. He ran away in Philadelphia too. They left him in Philadelphia. He ran away up there.
Are you currently facing charges for assaulting your son?
Yeah, that's that. I finally got that report. Yeah, I see that, and I can tell you, but you probably want to hear my answer. So,
Are you currently facing charges
yes,
for assault?
yes, yes. I am. I am.
And the assault is alleged to have occurred on March the 2nd of 2021.
And
Mr. Browning,
no,
oh,
not.
just a minute, Mr. Browning,
No.
just a second. Before you answer, I am going to advise you that under the Fifth Amendment of the U.S. Constitution and under the Texas Constitution, you have the right to refuse to answer a question that may incriminate you. I don't know that the
Yes.
answer to that question would necessarily incriminate you, but you have the right to refuse to answer a question if it would incriminate you. You have legal counsel you can confer with if you feel the need to confer with them before answering a question relating to any pending criminal charge. I will further
Yes.
advise you that while you have a right in a civil suit to refuse to answer a question based on it potentially incriminating you, a failure to answer a question on that basis in a civil suit can be inferred against you. All right, Ms.
Yes.
Keenan, if you'll re-ask your question, please.
The date of the alleged incident is March the 2nd, 2021. Is that correct?
No, ma'am. That's not correct. Jaden was nowhere near me. May I tell you? May I explain it?
If Ms. Kim asked you additional question, I think you answered the question that the March 2nd,
Yes.
2021 is not the correct date.
No, no, sir, it's not.
And Ms. Kim, your next question.
What day were you arrested for the assault on Jalen?
The 17th of June.
Ms. Kim, could you have him clarify what year we're talking about?
Was that 2021?
Yeah, the warrant that was issued for me, yes, to settle that warrant that was issued for me was on 17th of June of 2021, in which I was taken in for.
On that day, did yourself and Miss Navarro, did you let Miss Navarro know that you had been having a relationship with another woman?
Did I let her know?
Yes.
I'm going to object to relevance.
No relevancy to that.
Overruled.
Did I let her know? No, I did not. Me and Ms. Navarro at that point in time were considering ourselves not together at that point in time. So what she did was her business and what I did was mine.
On June the 17th, the two of you were not together?
Yes.
And did you not call the police on June the 17th because Miss Navarro was throwing your clothing outside of your home?
Me?
Yes.
No, I didn't. I didn't call the police.
You did not
No.
call the police on June the 17th?
No,
And
I
that-
didn't.
That is not the day that you got arrested?
That's the day I got arrested, but I didn't call no police.
And it wasn't related to an altercation related to you being in a relationship with another woman?
No. Like I said,
So today, are you in a relationship with Ms. Navarro?
that is our personal, but I don't really have to answer that question, but I don't think I will. Because I'm starting to see something. I'm sorry.
Mr. Browning, you don't get to
Yes, sir.
decide whether
Yes,
you
sir.
answer a question or not, other than it's on the Fifth Amendment. If you're asked a question,
It's on the Fifth Amendment. I put it on the Fifth Amendment.
no,
That's what I'm.
that is not a proper invocation. Whether you're in a relationship with Ms. Navarro or not is not a proper invocation of the Fifth Amendment. I'm directing you to answer the question.
Currently, right now, we are not in a relationship. Currently, right now, me and Ms. Navarro are doing what's best for our children and trying to take care of our kids. That's what we're trying to do.
So you're
Okay.
not in a relationship, but are you living in the same house?
Yes.
Who are you in a relationship with?
No one. Myself. And my children. They're the most important thing in my life right now. Them.
Mr. Browning, were you arrested for the possession of marijuana on January 14th, 2021?
Yes, the charge I took for my son. Yes.
What day was Julian born?
December the 14th.
Of what year?
2020.
And on January 14th, 2021, you were arrested with not more than 2 ounces of marijuana?
It wasn't even a gram of marijuana. So
And
not
that-
more. It wasn't even a gram.
And that criminal charge is still pending, is that correct?
Yes, it's a charge for my son that I took once again to keep his life from going down the toilet.
Mr. Browning, did you speak with an officer Dominguez on June the 17th?
Ms. Keenum, can you?
Officer Dominguez.
2021?
What's the point? I don't know.
You don't recall speaking to an officer Dominguez related to being locked out of your home
I don't know.
on June the
I-
17th?
I don't remember their names. I don't know. I can't say I did. And I can't say I didn't. I don't know. I don't get this line of questioning.
And
Excuse me?
are you stating that Jeanette did not throw your property out on the front lawn that night, that day?
Am I stating that?
Yes. Is that your testimony today?
I'm trying to. No. No, she put my stuff in the house. She put it back in the house. She took care of my
She put
things.
it
She took
back
care
in
of my
the
property.
house.
She
Pardon?
took care of my property. What she set out was just a few things that I had left, and she put them outside for me, and she took them back into the house for me. She took care of my things. She's taking care of my clothing, my computers, my stuff. She has taken care of my stuff. She has done what she was supposed to do, and she has been there to support me in a lot of good ways. Okay, so Ms. Navarro has made some great changes in her life. She's a good person. I'm not gonna let nobody destroy her.
Did you advise the officer on that day that you advised your wife that you were sleeping with another woman?
I'm not married. I'm not wife. She's not my wife. I'm not married. So let's get that
Browning
straight.
left.
She's not my wife.
And returned to discover that she threw out his belongings.
She put my stuff back in the house, like I said.
So she,
Mr. Browning, you're going to need to listen to the question and answer the question. That was not the question asked. Ms. Keenum, please repeat your question.
so after she threw it out, she put it back in the house?
After she placed it outside for me, she put it back in the house, yes. She placed it. She didn't throw it. She placed it. That's good.
Do you recall July the 7th of 2020?
No.
Did you follow and strangle Miss Navarro?
Oh, no, I did not. No, I did not.
Did
No,
she
ma'am.
leave you on July 7th, 2020 to go stay at a hotel on that day?
I'm not quite sure, but I think so. I'm not sure, but yeah. She wasn't home when I got home.
Did you place your hands around her neck and impede her
No.
airflow?
No, ma'am, I did not. I didn't even know where she was. I didn't even leave home. I didn't leave home that night, if I'm not mistaken. I stayed right here.
And from there, after the assault, did she then leave to go to a hotel?
No, ma'am, I did not. Ma'am, I did not assault her. I did not touch her. She was not home when I got home. We had not been into it. I had left earlier that day. Went and washed my truck and took care of some things.
I'm sorry.
Objected for non-responsive, Your Honor.
I'll sustain that. Go ahead, Ms. Keenum. Next question.
Judge, I'm going to object at this point because Ms. Keenan's asking questions and asserting that an assault occurred. I think that my client is able to explain that he did not assault her in answering that question.
Well, and I didn't sustain that part of the objection. He clearly denied the assault. So that's.
Your Honor, and I have no issue with Ms. Goodman's objection or her comment, but my objection was specifically that Ms. Keenum asked Mr. Browning if Ms. Navarro had moved or gone and stayed in a hotel. Didn't answer that question, and that was my objection.
He did answer that question.
I
would object asked and answered at this point.
I believe he did answer earlier that she left on July 7th, 2020 to stay at a hotel. So I think he's answered that. All right, let's go ahead, Ms. Keenum.
Mr. Browning. Oh.
Ms. Navarro.
I'm sorry, I don't know how.
Ms. Navarro, you have counsel. Your counsel, if they have an objection, will object. You're not to discuss.
I have to use the restroom.
All right, we'll take a short recess. We'll resume in about 2 minutes, 9:27. Thank you.
What?
Okay, I'm back.
Ms. Drake, we're going to go back on the record. We're back on record C200179CPS. This is in the interest of Julian Browning. I believe all parties in council previously present remain present. Let me confirm that. Mr. Graves, are you back with us now? Y'all stand by for just a second. Mr. Graves, are you back with us? All right. Let's see, Ms. Keenum, if you're ready to resume your question. Mr. Browning, I'm going to need you. There you go. Thank you. All right, Ms. Keenum, you're ready to proceed.
Mr. Browning, would you please describe for the court the timing of when you've been in a relationship with Miss Navarro and when you're not in a relationship for Miss Navarro? When's that timing?
What do you mean timing? What do you mean?
So you said currently, right now, you're not in a relationship. So when did you and Miss Navarro stop being in a relationship?
Just I guess recently, just a little bit ago. You know, as far as like timing and stuff, because we both sat here and we discussed the issues at hand about our children and what we want best for our kids and what we need to do, and that's what we done. So we talked about it and we made the decision together to take time out and do what we got to do.
Okay, so is a little bit ago, when is a little bit ago?
I say, I don't know, a few months, I guess, now. It's been a few months.
Okay. Before that, how long were you in a relationship?
We've been in a relationship, I guess, off and on now, going on 3 years or so.
And what do you define off and on?
Well, I mean, we do have our moments of where, you know, we decide to split up or go our separate ways and stuff, but you know, we still stick together. We still rock together as a team, as friends, or as a couple, however y'all want to describe it. You know, she still has my back and I still had her back. You know, a lot of people can't say that. They got people that have their back like that. No matter what we go through, we still together for each other. We still be there for each other.
When you split up, do you move out or do you stay in the same home?
We stay in the same home because we maintain together. I mean, this whole COVID thing didn't make it easier for nobody with no jobs, you know? So we maintain together as a team, period. Whether we're together or not, we still rock together as a team.
And how often have you done the split up and go your separate ways during this last 3 years that you've lived together?
Not that often. Not often at all.
And what are the causes of you splitting up and going your separate ways?
Just disagreements about certain things that we believe in, more standards, I guess you would want to say. I don't know. It could be anything. It could, you know, anything. Undecisiveness. Who knows? It's just relationship problems sometimes that people go through. Everybody goes through them. Relationship problems. Better work them out now than to get married and try to work it out then.
In of May the 4th, 2020, did you require yourself or Jeanette require a civil standby because the two of you were arguing over not being in a relationship?
No, May the 4th. That's her birthday.
May the 4th, 2020, did you require calling the police about
No.
the two of you and whether or not another female can come into a home, getting clothes out of your home?
No.
So
No, that was her birthday.
if the police have nature of a civil disturbance from your home, that would not be true?
If there was one, it was probably because of her ex, her baby's dad, Gilbert. It was probably because of him. If there was anything about it, because yeah, we gave him a place to stay too. Yes, ma'am. So if it was anything, that might have been it. I don't know. Like I said, May the 4th, that was her birthday. I do know that much.
I'm sorry, it's April the 4th.
Oh, April the 4th. Okay, that's a different time frame.
You called yelling, you want to get your stuff, and Jeanette is not allowing you to get items out of your home?
No, ma'am, I didn't call no police. I don't call the police. I don't believe calling the police.
So Sarah
That's not
Castro will not testify to a call you made.
But I'm going to object to
I
not
joined.
having.
I'm sorry, just a second. I'm sorry, go ahead, Ms. Goodman, you had an objection.
I'm going to object to my client not having personal knowledge of what Sarah Castro will testify to.
I'll sustain that.
What is that?
Did on July the 6th, was there another civil disturbance at your home?
No.
Ms. Cam, can we have years, please?
July the 6th, 2020. Was there
Thank you.
another civil disturbance at your home where Jeanette locked you out of your house?
And then the same thing you asked me for July the 7th?
July the 6th, 2020.
So the day before, she locked me out, and then the day the 7th, you said I went to somewhere and obstructed her airway. It's 2 days in a row. The 6th and the 7th. That's what you just asked me. So
Ms.
I'm
Cam,
sorry, but
Ms. Cam, ask your question.
You don't recall calling related to you, Ms. Navarro, locking you out of the house on July the 6th, 2020?
No, I don't. I don't recall the 6th or the 7th of me doing anything like that, or even touching her, or nothing. I don't recall it. I don't. This is weird. This is totally weird.
Let's talk about November the 7th, 2019. Do you recall driving Miss Navarro to a visit with her daughter, Serenity?
Not in November. No, ma'am. Not in November. No, ma'am, I do not. Not in November.
Were you involved in driving Miss Navarro to the Lubbock CPS?
I did ride with her as a friend. I did ride with her to, because that is a long drive. That is a long drive.
And were you actually driving the car on the day that Serenity was taken from the CPS office?
Uh,
All right, Mr. Browning, I'm
I'm
going
pleading the fifth on that
to.
situation.
Mr. Browning,
I'm
just
pleading.
a minute. Mr. Browning, just a minute.
Yes.
I believe there may be some pending criminal charges related to that incident. I will advise you that in the Fifth Amendment of the Constitution and the Texas Constitution, you have a right to refuse to answer a question based on the Fifth Amendment and the Texas Constitution privilege against self-incrimination. In any civil suit, a refusal to answer on that basis can be inferred against you. All right, Ms. Kim, go ahead and ask that question again.
Were you driving the car on the day that Serenity was taken without permission from the CPS office?
I plead the fifth. I plead the fifth. I plead the fifth.
Did you back the car up and open
I
up
plead the fifth.
Mr. Browning, Mr. Browning, you need to let Ms. Keenum finish her question. And then if you're going to invoke your Fifth Amendment, you can invoke it at that point, but don't interrupt
Yes.
it.
Yes.
Ms. Keenum, restate your question, please.
Did you back your car up to a door near the front and open all three of the doors in order to aid Miss Navarro in taking the child, Serenity Rodriguez, without permission?
Judge, my client has already asserted his Fifth Amendment, so I would ask Ms. Keenum to quit asking questions related to that incident.
Objection is overruled. She can ask each question. He gets to answer it, but I'm supposed to do in the Supreme Court opinion, question by question. She can ask him if he wants to invoke it, and it's a proper invocation, he can do so, but we're going to proceed that way. So I'm overruling your objection. Sir?
I plead the fifth. I plead the fifth, sir.
All right, thank you.
Did Miss Navarro load the child and herself in the car, and did you then drive off toward San Angelo?
I plead the fifth, ma'am.
Were you arrested with the child in your car?
I plead the fifth, ma'am.
Have you been through any anger management classes since March of 2021?
I plead the fifth, ma'am.
Sir, that's not a proper invocation of the Fifth Amendment privilege. I'm going to direct you to answer that.
I've never been involved in anger management classes. Never.
Have you been participated in any sort of batterer intervention program since March or January of 2021?
I've never been convicted or nothing. No, ma'am. I have not been involved in none of that stuff. I've never even nowhere. No, I don't know how to tell you. I have not been involved in no battles class. I have not been involved of no type of stuff like that because I don't do that. My record has been clean for 43 years. 43.
Have you participated in any counseling to deal with any anger issues?
No, ma'am, I have not. I have not. I've never had anger issues.
Have you participated in any counseling to deal with any relationship issues you might have with yourself and Miss Navarro?
No, ma'am, I have not. I've never had issues.
Have you participated in an ADAC assessment?
Who? Who?
An ADAC assessment?
What is that?
An assessment with the Alcohol and Drug Abuse Council to determine whether or not you need any services?
No, I have not participated with one, but I do plan on doing that very soon. As soon as I get up out this house, I plan on doing that as one of the first things I get done. Oh, and plus I go through the VA too for a lot of my stuff.
Have you addressed the kidnapping charge?
I plead the fifth now. You talk about a charge. And
And your first pre-trial on your marijuana charge is on August of 2021, is that correct?
yes, August 25th, yes.
So you've not done anything to address that charge?
Yes, ma'am, I have. I've called around and I finally got a copy of the charges and what was said about what happened, and the totally wrong. I can say that with much confidence.
But you've not addressed it through the court to have.
I'm working on it. I am working on it. Yes, ma'am, I am.
And as far as your assault charge, your assault family violence charge, your first court appearance is also August of 2021?
Yes, same date, same court, same judge. Yes, yes, ma'am. Like I said, I am working on those right now.
Pass the witness.
Thank you, Ms. Goodman. Any questions?
Yes, Your Honor. Mr. Browning,
Yes.
You do not agree with the department in their removal of Julian from yours and Mrs. Navarro's care.
That is correct.
And do you even know what the allegations were as to why he was removed from your care?
No, really, I don't. I've been trying to figure this out the whole time.
Did you, did the department or someone at the hospital ask you to submit to a drug test?
No, I did it on my own. I went and took a drug test on my own.
Where did you go to do that drug test?
To the West Texas Rehab Center.
You remember what day that was?
Julian was born on the 14th. They showed up on like the 15th. So I think it was around the 15th because Jeanette left on the 16th and they took Julian on the 17th.
And do you know if the department received a copy of the results from that drug test?
Yes, yes, ma'am, they did. Direct email to them. Miss Jessica Turner got it.
And was that drug test a urinalysis?
Yes, ma'am, it was a UA.
And was it negative for all substances?
Yes, ma'am, it was negative. I even volunteered to go the very next day and take another UA for them at their facility, in which I was told no, because the male observer was not there for that day. And there was only a female there. And she had called Mr. Trey Davis and asked Trey about it, what they wanted to do.
Objection,
And
hearsay.
I was
I'm sorry, I believe he was talking about Mr. Davis, who's a party. So I'm overruling the objection.
I think I thought he was saying what the observer was saying.
Well, if he's testifying as to what Mr. Davis told him, that's a statement by a party opponent. If he's talking about the observer at the facility or somebody at that facility, that's hearsay. So if y'all want to clarify who that discussion was with.
I can do that, Your Honor.
Thank you.
Mr. Browning, what did Mr. Davis tell you?
Well, Mr. Davis said that for me not to.
Objection. If he's talking about what he
I was
heard
sitting there.
from the people, then it is going to be hearsay, Your Honor. If you didn't hear it directly from Mr. Davis, I'm concerned that it's a hearsay statement.
Well, I would agree to the extent we need to verify how he came to have whatever knowledge he has. If it came from Mr. Davis, that's one thing. If it came from somebody at the facility, it's a different issue. So, Ms. Goodman, if you could clarify his source of knowledge before he states whatever his knowledge may be.
I can.
Thank you.
Mr. Browning, did you have a conversation with Mr. Davis at the testing facility, or were you present when Mr. Davis was having a conversation with the individuals at the testing facility?
I was sitting right there in front of the individual at the testing facility, at which time she picked up the phone and called Mr. Trey Davis and talked to him over the phone, at which point I could hear him because I was less than 5 feet away from them both. I could hear him over the phone, and I could hear and see her clearly in front of me. And she asked him, what did he want?
I'm sorry. I'm going to sustain the objection as to hearsay. What Mr. Davis said, he can testify to, not what the other person said.
Mr. Browning, what did you hear Mr. Davis say? Not what anybody asked or anybody else said.
He said, no, don't take the UA sample. He can't do the sample. So I left. And then they said, well, I'm sorry, I apologize. And then I was informed later by the investigators when they came to my home that I refused the test, in which I did not. They just did not have the male observer there. And there was a female there, and I didn't think it would be professional to do a UA in front of a female observer.
Did you later, after that date, submit to another drug test?
Yes, I did. On my own, yes.
You know what date that was?
I'm not sure, but I do have it in my files.
Okay. Where did you do that drug test at?
Same place, West Texas Rehab, where all my drug tests have been done. My UAs, yes. Did it freeze up?
Judge, I am trying to pull up an exhibit, but it's not letting me. I think I need to be able to have share screen capability.
Hey, if you'll stand by for just a second. Okay, I've enabled the share screen ability. Hopefully you can pull that up now.
I don't know if everybody can see that.
I can see it, Stephanie.
The
Okay.
department can see it.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Browning, can you see that on the screen?
Yes.
Okay. All right.
Yes.
And do you recognize this document?
Yes, that is a hair follicle
Okay.
test that I.
Let me ask question by question. Okay. You recognize the document?
Yes.
And has it been altered in any way from when you received it?
No, ma'am.
Your Honor, I would ask that Exhibit A be admitted into evidence.
Your Honor, the department objects. This is a hearsay document. It requires a business record affidavit, and Mr. Browning cannot authenticate it. There is no name of the father. There is nothing to authenticate this, and the department objects.
Any other objections from anybody else? All right, I'm gonna sustain the objection.
Mr. Browning, after Julian was removed from you and prior to today, did you receive a letter from the Department of Texas Family and Protective Services?
Did I receive a letter? What kind
Yes.
of letter?
Did you get a letter of their notice of findings in regards to Julian?
I'm not quite sure if I got one or not. I'm not sure. I don't think so, but I'm trying to figure out what letter you're talking about. I'm like, my bad is down.
Mr. Browning, can you see Respondent's Exhibit B?
Okay, what is that? Oh yeah, this letter.
You
Okay, yes, ma'am, I got it.
And I would ask that Exhibit B be admitted into evidence.
Any objection?
No
Yes, ma'am,
objection.
I got that.
No objection. Okay. Respondent's exhibit, respondent father's exhibit B is admitted.
Mr. Browning, was that the letter informing you that you had been ruled out for neglectful supervision and physical abuse of Julian?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Have you ever asked the department to return Julian to your care?
No, ma'am, I have not asked them. I've tried to follow the proceedings, you know, and go through the steps, you know, and do what they've asked me to do, and been cooperative. I've tried to, you know,
Okay.
do the right thing.
And have you been visiting Julian?
Yes, ma'am. I've been visiting him every chance we got. We could until I got, you know, sick last week or so.
And how have those visits been going?
It's been going good. You know, I mean, he's a beautiful kid, and I hold him. I sing to him. Listen to music, calms him down a lot. Feed him, change his diaper. You know, talk to him, and you know, he puts on my gold chain sometime and take pictures and stuff, and you know, we just hang out. You know, I talk to him a lot. You know, tell him what I'm doing. You know, the football team and stuff, and you know, and just talking to him, just talking to him.
Have you and, to your knowledge, Ms. Navarro, when you visit with Julian, do y'all take anything? And what I mean by that is in regards to diapers, wipes, clothes, food, anything like that?
We ask him every time, what does he need? If he needs anything, tell us. We have taken diapers. We've taken so many clothes that they told us don't bring no more. They asked us not to bring no more clothing for him. He has so much stuff, you know, and every time we ask, what does he need? What does he need? Anything he needs, tell us, we will get it. We make sure we tell them that. And we take it to them. If he needs it, all they gotta do is just tell us, and he would get it with no problem.
Is the residence that you and Ms. Navarro are living in currently, is it adequate for Julian to be placed with you?
Yes.
Do y'all have everything you need if he was to be returned to you?
Everything and then some.
Up to this point, have you ever been convicted of a criminal offense?
No, ma'am. I worked very hard to keep my record clean. I got a college degree, CDLs, hazmat, tankers, TWIC card. I've done everything I could to keep myself free of crime and all this other crap. I've done what I was supposed to do.
You mentioned earlier that you had sought some services through the VA. Are you a veteran?
Yes,
How long were you in the military?
10 years, 2 tours in Iraq.
When did you get out of the military?
I joined in 97. I got out in 07.
If the judge were to order you to have a drug test today, would you test negative?
I would test negative. Yes, ma'am, I would.
During your visits with Julian, has anybody from the department ever informed you that your visits weren't appropriate or that there was anything that you needed to correct or work on?
No, ma'am. I mean, from the sheets that they give you or supposed to email us, everything's been good. You know, and they say what I do to him. You know, I sing to him and stuff, and we walk around the room, and our visits been good. Our visits have been good. Nothing inappropriate, nothing mean, none of that stuff. Just love and concern for him.
Do you know how many visits that you yourself have had with Julian?
No, it's been a few though. It's been a few. It's been quite a few.
What is the current schedule for your visits?
Right now, the visits are every Thursday from 10 to 11.
Have you been given all of the visitation notes? Or just
No, I have not.
Can you see Exhibit C?
Yes, ma'am.
Do you recognize that document?
I'm not sure what this is.
You haven't seen this document before?
No.
Okay.
What is it?
It's okay. But nobody from the department has ever given you any notification that your visits aren't appropriate, or in other words, your visits have been good and appropriate with Julian.
Yes, they've been good and appropriate. Yes.
Is it your intention, without going into any facts, but any criminal charges that you have against you currently, to plead not guilty to those?
Yes, ma'am.
And as far as your employment, is it your intention to go back to trucking as soon as possible?
Yes, ma'am. I've actually had a couple of job offers. They just waiting on me. That's it. And it's hard to go back to work when you got, certain situations hanging over your head as you're trying to get done, concentrate in a dangerous job like I do.
If Julian were returned to your care, would you be able to coordinate daycare for him while you're at work?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. I'm already looking into all that stuff.
And you would secure that before returning to work?
Yes, ma'am. 100% secure it before I do anything.
Do you feel like you can adequately care for Julian?
Yes, ma'am. I do.
No further questions, Your Honor. Pass the witness.
Thank you, Mr. Harrelson. Any questions?
Yes, thank you, Your Honor. Thank you, Your Honor. Mr. Browning, in your visits with Julian, has Jeanette Navarro also participated?
Yes.
Has that been for every visit?
Pretty much every visit. Yes.
And when you stated that you've received no indication from CPS that there were any problems with the visits, did that include Jeanette Navarro's interactions as well?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, sir. That included hers as well.
Because she was with you the whole time?
Yes.
Thank you. I'll pass the witness, Your Honor.
And Mr. Graves, any questions?
Thank you, Judge. Mr. Browning, you've testified, you have, and just correct me if I'm wrong, you have 2 pending criminal charges here in Tom Green County. Is that right?
That is correct.
And those are both misdemeanors. Is that correct?
That is correct.
And you stated earlier that you plan on pleading not guilty to those charges, and also that you have a court setting coming up on both of those cases in the next month or so.
Yes, sir.
And you also testified earlier, quite a bit earlier on your direct examination, that I believe that you were charged with something in Lubbock. Is that correct? I'm not asking you about the details. I'm just asking you, were you charged?
Yes, sir.
And have you been indicted on that?
Yes, sir. I was indicted on it, but it was, to my understanding from my attorney that was up there, it's done. It's over. No more charges. It's dismissed or whatever.
So you don't have any pending settings or any pending matters on that charge?
No.
Did Miss Navarro get charged with that same incident?
Yes, sir.
And is her case still pending?
No, sir. It's done too.
You say it's been dismissed?
Yeah, hers is done too. You have to ask her the details of it. You know what happened with hers. You have to speak to her about that situation. But as far as mine is concerned, mine has been dismissed. I got the letter from my attorney up there, and he told me they threw it out.
And it's your testimony, you don't have any pending charges anywhere else in the state of Texas or the United States. Is that correct?
That is correct, sir. I don't.
Thank you, sir. Pass the witness.
All right, Ms. Keenum.
Did either yourself or through your attorney, did you recently ask to have separate visits with your child for Miss Navarro?
Yes, I did.
Okay. And when did you ask for those separate visits?
When?
Yes.
I'm not sure the date. When?
Was it in July? Was it in June?
Was it like August now? I had 1, 2 of them. I think it was like in July, maybe. I don't know. I'm not quite sure.
So in July, you requested to have your visits separate from Jeanette.
Correct.
Okay. And how many visits have you had separate from Jeanette?
2.
And you then are not present when Jeanette has her visits. Those
2 times.
okay. you wouldn't be aware of how Jeanette's interactions were then during those 2 times that you weren't present. Is that correct?
No, I wouldn't. Not firsthand. No, not firsthand knowledge. No.
Do you know how Miss Navarro was positive for meth at the time of Julian's birth?
No clue about none of that. Okay, ain't nobody discussed none of that with me. Okay, I don't know, and I'm not gonna speak on something I don't know.
Are you concerned about the fact that Miss Navarro was positive at the time of Julian's birth?
Once again, now I can't speak on that because I don't know for sure. I don't know. No one's spoken to me about it. I have not seen no tests. I don't know, and I can't speak on that. And I'm not going to speak on that.
You don't have any comment on whether or not if the mother of your child is positive for meth?
Ma'am, I can't speak on something that I don't know, okay? All I know is she was taking the same type of blood medication that I was taking, okay? That I am currently taking right now. Same type of stuff, medication. We was on the same medications for our injuries and things of that nature there. I can't speak on something else that I don't know about. I can't.
If were you asked by Trey to drug test on January 22nd, 2021?
January what now?
January 22nd, 2021. Were you asked to take a drug test?
By Trey on January 22nd?
Yes.
That's 4 days after they told me not to give the samples. 4 or 5 days after I did it in January of 17, when I went over there. The first time they asked me, when I did my first drug test for them. So I mean, that's 5 days later, and I don't remember Trey asking me to do a drug test. No, I don't.
Were you asked by Trey on March the 3rd of 2021 to take a drug test?
I wasn't even in town March the 3rd, so I wasn't. March 5th, my birthday, and I was not even in town.
Did he send you a text message and
They just got my phone number. They just got my phone number right. So I don't know.
On April 29th, 2021, were you requested by Trey to take a drug test?
I don't know. I do not recall at this time. I don't know.
Where were you out of town on March the 3rd, 2021?
I was visiting some friends up in Colorado. I got a brother and sister that was up there for me that I have, that they're family to me, that they're real close friends, and they're more like family. They're family to me. And I was stationed up there for 13 years with the U.S. Army. So
on May the 13th, 2021, did Trey ask you to take a drug test?
I think so, but I'm not sure. I can't recall at this time. I have to look and see and make sure.
And did you submit to a drug test on that day of May the 13th, 2021?
I do not recall at this time. I will have to look and see.
So you don't recall if you were asked?
I don't recall if I was asked, and I don't recall if I even submitted one, but I know I might have did one for the month of May, as well as June, July, and even this month. I got them actually scheduled for the 20th of every month, where they automatically take it out, and I go and take my UA. I have my own drug test thing scheduled automatically.
On June the 8th, 2021, did Trey request that you take a drug test?
I do not recall. I have to look and see. Let me make sure. Did he get a result? Could they email him the results straight to him? He gets them. Every result that I get, he gets automatically directly from them. He gets them. They have his email address.
Mr. Browning, the question is, did you get a request and did you test?
I do not recall, sir. I have to look into my thing and see if I did.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Keenan.
And on July the 20th, 2021, did Trey request that you take a drug test?
If I'm not mistaken, I think so, but I'm not quite sure.
And do you know whether or not you submitted to that drug test on that day?
Like I said, I do not recall, but I think I did. I'm not sure. I just have to check my records. That's it. I have to check my own records to make sure.
And you currently do not have daycare for Julian?
Because I'm home right now, so I am his daycare. But before I go back to work, he will have it. That is a guarantee. I've already talked to the VA about a lot of different things, and they are helping me right now get a lot of stuff set up.
And who is did you say the DA?
VA, Veteran Affairs.
Who are you speaking to there?
Miss Goodwin. And of course, my primary care physician, my doctor, and stuff like that.
Ask the witness.
Ms. Goodman, any other questions?
Oh, Your Honor.
Mr. Ellison?
No, Your Honor.
And Mr. Gray?
No, Your Honor.
All right, Ms. Keenan, your next witness, please.
Yes. The department will call Jeanette Navarro.
All right, Ms. Navarro, if you, Ms. Keenan will start with the questions and the other attorneys will have questions as well. Thank you. Go ahead, Ms. Keenan.
Please state your name for the record.
Jeanette Navarro.
Were you requested to drug test by Trey Davis on January 6, 2021?
Yes.
Did you submit to that drug test?
Yes.
You did?
Yes.
Okay. And where did you submit to that drug test at?
At your testing facility.
Okay. And on January 22nd, 2021, were you requested to drug test?
When?
January 22nd, 2021.
Yes.
Did you submit to that?
At your facility? At your facility?
On March the 3rd, 2021, were you requested to drug test?
Yes.
Did you submit to that drug test?
Yes.
And where did you submit to that drug test?
West Texas Rehabilitation Center.
And what day did you submit to that drug test?
That day.
And do you have those results?
I do, and so does Trey Davis.
Were you requested a drug test on April 29th, 2021?
I don't recall.
Were you requested to drug test on May the 13th, 2021?
Yes, I was.
And did you drug test on that day?
Yes, I did.
And where did you drug test?
West Texas Rehabilitation Center
And on what day?
on May the 13th.
And were you requested to drug test on June the 8th, 2021?
I don't recall.
Were you requested to drug test on July the 20th, 2021?
Yes, I was.
And did you drug test?
Yes, I did.
Let's start with Serenity Rodriguez. Were you involved in an incident back in 2019 related to your daughter?
Yes, I was.
Objection, Your Honor. Relevance, that's a separate case.
Overruled.
Did you and Mr. Browning drive to the Lubbock CPS office?
Yes, I did.
And did you take your daughter outside?
Just a second, Ms. Kim. Mr. Morrow, I'm not sure the status of any pending criminal charge, but I understood there may be some criminal charge relating to the incident you're being asked about. I'll advise you, as I did Mr. Browning, that under the Fifth Amendment of the U.S. Constitution and the Texas Constitution, you have a right to refuse to answer any question that may incriminate you. In any civil suit, while you have a right to refuse to answer on that basis, a failure to answer on that basis can be inferred against you. Mr. Harrelson is your attorney. If you have any questions about responding to a question that might incriminate you, I'll give you an opportunity to confer with him. All right, Ms. Kim.
Your Honor, I believe I can clarify based on the conversations with Ms. Navarro, that matter has been resolved with an outcome that I believe Ms. Navarro can testify toward.
All right, and I'll trust you've discussed that with her. So, Ms. Kim, if you go ahead and re-ask your question, please.
And Jeanette, if you have any specific questions, please let the judge know and you and I can discuss that.
Yes,
Right.
that's fine.
All right, go ahead, Ms. Kim. Thank you.
Did you take your daughter Serenity out of the CPS office into a waiting car with Tamaka Browning?
I plead the fifth.
Did you?
All right, hang on just a second. Yeah. I guess, Mr. Harrelson, I may need a little bit of clarification to determine whether that's a proper invocation. If the case is resolved and there's no longer any potential criminal liability, then it's not an proper invocation of the Fifth Amendment privilege. On the other hand, if that case is still pending, certainly I think it would be.
Okay.
I don't know if you can tell me within the context of your representation and your attorney-client communication that, but I would ask if you can give me some clarification, please.
Yes, Your Honor, I can. Again, based on my conversations with Jeanette, that case has been resolved, so there are no further pending issues which would result in additional charges that I'm aware of. That matter has been dealt with in Lubbock County.
Correct.
With counsel.
All right,
Correct.
thank you. So, Ms. Navarro, I'm going to find that that's not a proper invocation of your Fifth Amendment privilege as it relates to that incident. So I'm going to direct you to respond, please.
Okay.
All right, Ms. Kenny, may I ask your question again?
Did you take your daughter Serenity and place her into a car that was waiting for you? That was,
Yes, I did.
Did Mr. Browning have doors open waiting for you to place your daughter in?
No, he did not.
So he did not have the back door open and another.
No, he did not.
Did you and Mr. Browning drive off with your daughter from the Lubbock CPS office?
Yes, we did.
And were you ultimately stopped in another county?
Yes, I was. I was detained.
And were you arrested?
I was arrested for interfering with child custody.
And how long were you detained?
3 weeks.
How has your case been resolved?
I was given 5 years probation.
And what are the terms of your probation?
You would have to talk to my probation officer about that. I don't know.
You don't know the terms of your probation?
No, ma'am, I have not had an intake.
Where will you be submitting to your probation?
Right now, my probation is out of Lubbock. We are waiting for Mr. Jared here in San Angelo, Tom Green County to get my intake going for the month of August, making sure that my coronavirus test results continue to come back negative because I am in a household with an infected person, ma'am. Is that enough for you?
And when is your scheduled intake?
I would have to look at my schedule, ma'am. I am not sure right now. I believe somewhere around the 19th of August, ma'am. I could call Mr. Jared and get that information faxed to you, ma'am.
Are you still facing charges for the terroristic threats?
For last time I heard, it wasn't terroristic threats. I had kidnapped somebody else's daughter, so I don't know which one it is.
Are you still facing then potential charges?
I have a what do you call it? A trial by jury that I have demanded for threats, not terroristic threats. Threats is what I have understanding. I don't know if they changed it or if you want to talk to them. I don't know.
Your Honor, at this point, I will instruct Ms. Navarro to not answer any further questions regarding pending charges.
Ms. Navarro, again, in the Fifth Amendment, if you have a pending criminal case, you have the right to refuse to answer a question that might incriminate you relating to that case. Again, a refusal answer can be inferred against you in a civil case. Ms. Kim, go ahead.
Thank you.
What day is your jury trial for the terroristic threats?
I plead the Fifth.
That's not a proper invocation of the Fifth Amendment.
I don't know, Your Honor. I don't know, ma'am. I honestly don't know. I gotta look at the docs. Everything changes with the judicial records and the dates, so I don't know. One day is the 2nd, one day is the 8th. So I honestly don't know. I go on a day-by-day trial and basis. That's what I do. I check every day.
What day do you recall Tamaka's son moving in with you?
Somewhere around July of 2020.
Did you film the alleged assault?
Objection, Your Honor. That's very, very vague.
Yeah, I'm going to sustain that you need to be more specific about what assault and you're referring to.
On March the 2nd, on or about, would have been prior to that day that the child was assaulted, did you film?
Objection, Your Honor. That's assuming facts, not an evidence. You just said prior to that date that the child was assaulted. I'm
going to sustain that objection, Ms. Keenum. You're going to have to be more specific about which child you're referring to, what incident you're referring to, and what you're asking her. So you're going to have to be more precise in your questions, please.
Your Honor, it may help just to have like a year also.
Yes, absolutely.
What do you recall of the incident between Jalen and his father from March of 2021?
Basically, Jalen had been skipping school. Miss Coronado called us and we went up there to talk to her because he was supposed to be in ISS or in school suspension, something like that, for a whole week because he had already been skipping a whole, like, basically he skipped a whole month. And we had been trying to get him to go to school. We went up there and talked to Miss Coronado, which is the principal of Central High School for Jalen Deshaun Browning. We went up there, we talked to her, and she suggested, along with Mr. Browning and Deshaun Browning and another principal that was there besides Miss Coronado, that we go ahead and sign him up for a military boot camp. So that was the agreement that we had decided that we were gonna do. That day when Jalen finally decides to come home on his birthday, which was February the 22nd of 2020, this year, 21, I'm sorry, 2021, he decides that, you know, he doesn't want to go wherever to boot camp and he doesn't want to be a part of it. He doesn't want to help in the chores here. He doesn't want to do anything that we recall. And I asked him to go outside to throw the trash, and he goes outside to throw the trash and he never comes back. Next thing you know, we get a phone call that he is in Georgia under CPS custody in Georgia. That is what I recall. That's it. That's all, ma'am.
It's on the 24th.
The 24th.
I'm sorry, Mr. Browning, Ms. Navarro, your testimony needs to be based on what you know. Don't be helping each other. If you don't know, you don't know. If you know,
Okay.
you can testify. Thank
Yes,
you.
sir.
All right.
I apologize.
Ms. Keenan.
Did you ever witness Tamaka making Jalen put boxing gloves on his hands?
No.
Tell the court what happened on July the 17th, 2021.
What happened? I got up, I made breakfast, I took a shower. I might have went to the mall, got my nails done. I don't know what exactly happened that day, ma'am. What in reference do you want me to share with the court?
Did you have an incident between yourself and Mr. Browning?
No, ma'am. My house was broken into that day. I did call the authorities for that.
So your house was broken into.
Yes, ma'am. There was a report done for that. If that's what you're referring to, then that's it.
And Mr. Browning did not let you know that he had slept with another woman on that day?
Oh, no, ma'am. I mean, if he does, he does. If he don't, he don't. That's his business. Right now, we are working our differences. We are trying to get our kids home. That's all that matters to us. I don't recall him saying that. That would be kind of crazy for him to say that. But hey, if he did, he did. He's at all free will, ma'am. He has no obligation to me. The obligation he has is to our son.
Did you throw his items outside of the home on that day?
No, ma'am. I placed a few items that he asked for me to put outside for him. He said he was gonna be by and pick him up, but then I put him back in because it started raining and he said that he will come back and get him later.
Were you present when he was arrested on that day
Yes.
at your house?
Yes, I was here
And why was he arrested that day at your house?
because he has a warrant out for that crap with Jalen.
And why were the police at your house that day?
Oh, I don't know, ma'am. Oh, the day that I reported the incident for the break-in? Is that what you're referring to? I'm getting lost. You could say
So
that day, I'm not sure.
you did not tell police that day that y'all fought related to a woman?
No, ma'am.
On July 7th, 2020, did you check into the La Quinta Hotel?
What day and what year?
July 7th, 2020.
Yes, ma'am. July 7th, 2020. Yes.
And did you allege that Mr. Browning placed his hands on your neck and impeded your airflow?
No, ma'am. Not that I recall. I don't recall that. No, ma'am. I don't recall.
Did you assert that Mr. Browning had struck you multiple times with a closed fist, causing you pain?
No, ma'am. I don't recall.
And you did not state that to Officer Andres Castro?
I don't recall, ma'am.
Did Officer Andres Castro provide you with a family violence packet on that day?
Recall. I don't recall.
Did you let Officer Castro know you wanted to press charges against Mr. Browning at that time?
I don't recall, ma'am.
On April the 4th, 2020, did you not allow Tamaka to come in your home because you were arguing over him having another woman?
I don't recall, Miss Deborah Keenum.
On July the 6th, 2020, did you lock Tamaka out of your home?
I don't recall, Miss Deborah Keenum.
At the time that your son was born, did you speak to Andrew Rivera, social worker, about your testing positive for methamphetamines?
I don't recall. I
Did
had
you,
just had my son. I don't remember.
did you speak to Monica Gloria, social worker at Shannon Medical Center, about your testing positive for methamphetamines?
No, ma'am, I did not.
Have you taken an anger management class since January of 2021?
No, but I did the year before that, ma'am.
Have you participated in any counseling to deal with your relationship issues related to Mr. Browning?
Yes, I go to a Bible study. I do Bible. I talk to the Jehovah Witnesses, and I talk to my higher power, which is God, Jehovah, and we talk about our problems, and that's how I address those issues, ma'am.
Are you seeing a Texas licensed counselor to deal with and address the issues related to your relationship with Mr. Browning?
I was not aware that I had to, ma'am. No, I have not, because I choose not to.
Have you done any sort of counseling related to any drug abuse?
I went through ADAC or ADAF or whatever it's called, ADACC, and I got an assessment done, which were it stated that I don't have any drug problems, ma'am. I have issues with CPS. That's my problem with you, ma'am.
So you had your ADAC assessment done on what day?
Mr. Trey Davis has that. Give me a minute. Let me pull it up. I guess on Friday, July the 23rd, I went and did ADAC, whatever it's called.
Have you participated in any counseling sessions to deal with the occasional testing positive for methamphetamines?
I have not seen no results where I have tested positive, ma'am. I had just submitted it to the hospital medical records, and I am waiting on those records to show where I tested positive, because that's only hearsay right now from you, hearsay.
Have you participated in any counseling to address issues related to Mr. Browning and his criminal issues and his marijuana issues?
He has no issues with marijuana. Jalen did, my stepson, he did. And I actually was talking to Ms. Coronado, his principal.
Your Honor, I'm gonna
about-
object for,
Sustain it as to our conversation with Ms. Coronado.
have you completed your parenting classes?
I have online, ma'am, when the pandemic was going on, but Mr. Trey Davis, he stated that those were not acceptable. So I signed up with the parenting classes at the birthplace over here on Sherwood Way, ma'am. Now that I can physically go, but again, right now I'm quarantining right now. So, but before that, I did a course online, ma'am, through your CPS office, ma'am. I did that, and it's on exhibits for trial for Serenity, ma'am.
Ms. Navarro, you
But
had
Your Honor,
not,
I want to clarify here, all these services that are being asked about, there have been no services ordered in this case as far as I know. I'm relatively new here, but we don't even have a service plan in place because we're at an adversary here.
Correct.
And Ms. Game, you may want to clarify your what services you're referring to.
I'm just asking what, if anything, they've done to address any concerns that were the removal, to see whether or not it's been addressed, to see whether or not we have continuing danger. And certainly participating in services might mitigate continuing danger.
Next question, please.
Ms. Navarro, you've had some visits by yourself with your son?
Two.
On one of those visits, did you walk out after about 5 or 10 minutes?
Yes.
The second one, did you stay the entire time, or?
I stayed the entire time.
But the first visit on your own, you left when the baby was crying. Is that correct?
It wasn't because the baby was crying. I had a situation going on that I talked to with Trey and with Miss Shelby. That was the one that was observing the visitation, ma'am. And I asked him if I could leave, but I had something that was some issues, personal issues that I would not like to share with the court today. They're personal, and I do not want to go into it, please.
Your Honor, I am going to ask that she let us know why she had to leave that visit.
I was on my cycle, ma'am. If you must know, PMSing. Thank you.
And it wasn't because the baby was crying and you weren't able to console the baby?
Of course not, ma'am. Babies cry all the time. Serenity cried. I dealt with her 5 years. I took care of her, no problem. Julian cries. We take him out. We rock him. We talk to him. I tried to get him to stand up, to walk. Start teaching him how to sit up on his own. Start teaching him how to do things that an 8-month-old baby should be doing now. I bought him a little bouncy, so whenever I go visit him, I set him up on the bouncy, but he doesn't like that. He's afraid of heights, I guess. I try to feed him yogurts, little snacks whenever I go, because they're not giving him, the foster parents are not giving him any solid food yet, and he's 8 months, going on 9. So yes, ma'am, that is what I do when I go see my son.
And you're still living with Mr. Browning?
Yes, ma'am, 3905 Driftwood Court, San Angelo, Texas, 76904.
And where are you employed?
I was employed for UPS roughly about until a month ago, whenever I had to go to my court to sign for my 5 years probation in Lubbock. And they told me because I was on a 90-day probation that I could not miss. And if I had to miss, that they were going to ask me to, to quit, to fire. They fired me because I couldn't make it that day. I had to go take care of probation. So it's okay. Right now, I have been collecting unemployment because I was self-employed before I was working for the UPS.
And what is your self-employment?
I had some businesses out of Odessa. I had a couple of man camps that I was taking care of. I would go out there and clean them. And that was something that I got paid, per location. So if I went out to, let's say, Texas Drilling, I talked to the people that had the man camp. I cleaned, let's say, 10 of the rooms, and I charged them whatever amount that I charged them. And then that's how I've been filing my taxes and reporting for doing that. But because of the pandemic, I had to file unemployment, ma'am, and that's what I've been receiving, unemployment, ma'am.
Pass the witness.
And Ms. Goodman, any questions?
No questions, Your Honor.
Mr. Harrelson, any questions?
Yes, Your Honor. Thank you. Jeanette, are you currently in your home?
Yes, Your Honor. Yes, Mr. Brad.
Okay, and do you have adequate food in that home?
Yes. Would you guys like for me to do a tour?
No, we'll be happy to take your word for it. Are all the utilities turned on?
Yes, sir.
Are you able to cover the costs of all the bills?
Yes, sir.
And are you currently receiving unemployment benefits?
Yes, sir.
And how much do you receive weekly, say, or per month, however it comes?
$912.00 twice a month.
And how long will those last?
I'm supposed to be looking up for a review again because it's almost time for them to be expired. And I submitted a job application for Blue Cross Blue Shield already as well. And also I submitted one to the ADAC, the drug screening place.
Okay, have you ever had any difficulty in finding a job?
No, sir, never have.
Have you always been willing to work for a living?
Of course, no other way.
Do you have any concerns right now about Julian's development for his age?
Yes, I do.
And briefly tell us what those concerns are.
I feel that at this time, he's 8 months. He should be able to sit up on his own, which he's not. He's, every time that we get him out of the car seat, that's when he starts kind of getting whiny. If we're not holding him, he's crying. I feel that by this time he should be able to be on a walker, kind of be able to move a little bit more. He's not consuming whatever like little snacks we take him. He don't really eat much. It seems like all he does is drink the bottle and lay on his back. Those are my concerns. I was just recently given his weight and his length, and according to those, he's normal, but I don't know anything else.
According to the department's documentation, in this case, Julian was appeared to be healthy at the time of his birth. Did you see anything that was wrong or abnormal with Julian when he was born?
Yes, he was born with meconium, a lot of poop in the placenta and outside the placenta.
So the process of being born raised some complications based on the meconium. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Are you aware of any other issues with Julian at the time of his birth?
No.
Have you been maintaining contact with Trey Davis?
Yes.
What kind of contact do you have with Mr. Davis?
Well, he was supposed to come this month to do a home visit, but because of the quarantine situation, he wasn't able to come. But other than that, I visit with him at least 2 to 3 times a month. Every time that we go visit, so we visit every Thursday from 10 to 11. So that's 4 times a month that we visit. That we also get to see Trey, and we talk to Trey about our child's developments, about what is needed. We take him diapers, wipes, etc., clothes, which we were told don't take no more, that if they need it, they will ask us. They said, I even offered money as well if he was needed, if I need to pay child support while they have him, I am willing to do whatever is needed for my son. And they told me no. So as far as that goes, that's the kind of contact that I have with Trey and Miss Shelby, the lady that observes. I contact her as well. They did mention that my son has RSVP, something like that, and an infection right now with his lungs. And that was what Trey told me, that he was sick right now, so that he couldn't have visits with us as well.
Okay, now you mentioned a quarantine. Have you or Mr. Browning tested positive for COVID?
Yes, Mr. Browning was tested positive. Yes, sir.
Okay, and when was that?
I believe almost 2 weeks ago. This will be our 2nd week. And I've already tested. I was negative. I tested twice. Both times were negative, but because he stays upstairs, as you notice, we have a upstairs and downstairs, here in the house. It's over 2,000 square foot. So he stays upstairs where he has a whole kitchen and everything. And I stay down here in my area.
Okay, is he receiving any treatment?
You would have to ask him, sir. I really don't know. He goes through the VA, which is totally different than what I go through. I go through Shannon.
Okay, and fair enough. Now, there were questions about several requested drug tests. Were those made by Mr. Davis?
Yes.
And how did you receive those requests?
Through text message, sir.
Okay, so you are in contact with Mr. Davis by text?
Yes, sir. And emails.
Has there been any problems? Have there been any problems with communication between you and Mr. Davis?
Not in the past 6-7 months, no, sir.
Okay. Now you stated as far as those as you could recall, you did comply with those requests to drug test. Is that right?
Yes, that's correct.
And where did you go?
I went a couple of times to their office, and of course the results were negative. And then the rest of the times I have paid out of pocket my own. I have went through West Texas Rehabilitation Center, which they observe me. They take the specimen, and they send it off to the lab, and then they go ahead and send the department the results strictly to them, and then they also send them to me. But it's emailed directly to Mr. Trey Davis.
Okay, so you've authorized West Texas Rehab to email your results directly to Mr. Davis?
Yes, I gave them a HIPAA form.
Now, based on your review of those results, have you been positive for any illegal substances or drugs during those tests?
Never. Even the day after my son was born, when they claimed that I was positive or that he was positive for amphetamine or methamphetamine, the very next day I went to their lab testing for CPS. I was observed and I came back negative.
Have you done a follicle test?
Yes, I have.
And was that on January 13th of 2021?
Yes, sir.
And what were the results of those tests?
Negative on everything.
Did Mr. Davis receive a copy of that result?
Yes, he did.
How many visits have you had with Julian?
We were not allowed to visit with him until I believe June or July. They set him up. So roughly about, give or take, 7, 8 visits at the most. He was already 6 months when we first got our first visitation, sir.
Have you been able to bond with him to at least a little bit because of your visits?
As much as a person can bond with a 6-month-old baby that they haven't seen since they were born for an hour every Thursday, sir. Yes, as much as I can.
Now, are you asking this court to place Julian back in your home?
Yes, please. I am begging the court and Mr. Gary Banks to allow us to have our son home.
Okay, and why do you believe that Julian should be placed in your home as opposed to remaining in CPS custody?
Because there's nothing like the parents' love. I can provide for him fully, take care of him all the way. I can feed him, I can clothe him, I can look out for his best interest, and I can be teaching him other things, that I feel that he's not being taught. I would like for him to start crawling. I would like to be able to see my son sit. I would like to be able to have my son possibly even walking on a stroller if possible, and soon be able to walk. He's almost 8 months and he's not able to meet none of those requirements. He is behind according to the way I was raised. Serenity, by that time she was walking.
Now, you're currently not working, but are you actively looking for work?
Yes, sir. Like I mentioned to you earlier, I submitted just recently 2 applications, one to the ADAC drug screening, because I seen they were hiring when I went up there to do my drug screen. So I went ahead and applied for them, and I'm waiting to hear back from them. They start off at $10 an hour, so that's better than nothing. I do have some college degree behind me in computer science, so I am also, I just paid off my student loans, and I am planning on going full time for computer science to finish my associate's degree through Howard College, just waiting for that to clear up, and for Uncle Sam to clear me off on the debt that I owed for the student loan as well. And I also applied for one more place at the Blue Cross Blue Shield. And again, that was just recently. So yes, I have something set up. I'm not just the bum that don't do nothing at home.
So should you return to work, what childcare arrangements will be made?
I believe I'm gonna send him through Little Coconuts, and they charge me about $175 a week, which I think that's fair. And also, we do have the VA through the Mark being a veteran that they give us so much in vouchers for daycare.
So there's an allowance or funds
Yes.
that you could receive to help you
Yes.
cover the cost of daycare.
Yes, that is correct.
And have you been in contact with the Little Coconuts daycare?
No, not recently. No, I have not. That is where I took Serenity for 3 years though.
So what you're telling the court today is, well, the affidavit has been filed in this court by the department that sets forth their reasons for removal. It states that you were positive for methamphetamine at the time of Julian's birth. Now, is it your testimony today that you did a follow-up test on that?
Yes, correct. The very next day.
And was that at the direction of the department?
Yes. It was an observed drug test at their department that came back negative.
And did you deny drug use while at the hospital as well?
Of course.
I pass the witness, Your Honor.
Thank you, Mr. Graves. Any questions?
Yes, Your Honor. Thank you. Ms. Navarro, were you informed, just to clarify from your testimony, it sounds as though you were aware of the fact that the department claimed at the time of Julian's birth that you and he tested positive for methamphetamines. Is that correct?
Correct.
And I need some clarification. You said that you were given or are currently on a 5-year probation in Lubbock County.
That is correct.
And is that for, you said it was interfering with, what was the formal charge to which you pled to?
Interfering with child custody. 5 years probation.
Do you know what degree of felony that is?
It's it's, he said it's a state jail felony. It's not even I guess it's the 1st degree, 2nd degree, 3rd degree. I guess it's below the 4th and the 5th. It was almost considered a misdemeanor.
But it's a state jail felony, to your knowledge?
Yes, yes.
When did you take your plea on that?
Well, I lost my job because I had to go up there for that. So I was working for UPS. I'm not gonna lie to you. I'm not sure, but I'm gonna say July, maybe this past month. Yes, June or July, to the best of my ability. I don't remember exactly.
Of 2021?
Yes, sir.
And you said you got 5 years of probation. Is it 5 years of straight probation or deferred adjudication?
Don't get me lying. I don't know.
When you took that plea, did you plead guilty to the charge?
I think so.
In order to receive a probation, it was via a plea bargain, is that correct?
Yes.
You didn't go to a trial and have the judge find you guilty. You did plead guilty to it on your own.
Yes.
Thank you, ma'am. Pass the witness.
Yes, sir.
And Ms. Keenum, any additional questions?
When you met with Mr. Rivera at the hospital, did you admit to marijuana use?
No, ma'am. What I told him was, what I specifically told Mr. Rivera, I remember him talking to me. I told him that we had recently been to Colorado. That's what I told him, where marijuana is legal. He asked me if I had been around any drug use or any, my environment, if I had been around any of it. And I told him I had been around it in Colorado. Yes, I had, but no drug use, no.
At the time of the removal, you were still facing your charge for the kidnapping, correct?
Can I clarify that, Ms. Deborah Keenum? It's not kidnapping, it's interfering with child custody. Yes, I was still facing those charges, correct. Interfering with child custody.
And at the time of the removal, there was evidence that there had been a call out to your house on April the 4th of 2020 related to yourself and Mr. Browning?
I don't recall, ma'am. You already asked me all these questions earlier. I don't recall.
And you don't recall there being a police call out to your home on July the 6th, 2020 then?
No, ma'am, I don't recall.
And you don't recall the...
I object, Your Honor. Asked and answered. We've gone through all these dates, I believe.
Ms. Keenum, unless you're going to ask about a different date, I believe she has testified she didn't recall about any of these. So I believe I'm going to sustain that objection unless you have other dates you're going to ask about.
Are you willing to work services should the judge continue the department as temporary managing conservator?
Yes, I am. As a matter of fact, I've already gotten a head start. Like Trey told me, I talked to him and he told me what was going to be required of me, which is basically what was required of me in Serenity, which, as you guys know, I had at that time, I had chosen not to, but I went ahead and started doing everything for Serenity, and I already have a jump start for Julian, so not a problem. That ain't no biggie. Anything you have for me, I got you. Just throw it at me. I don't mind. Anything for my kids.
Pass the witness.
All right, Ms. Goodman, any other questions?
No, Your Honor.
Yeah, Mr. Harrelson.
Your Honor, may I have a couple of minutes with Ms. Navarro?
Yes, sir. Okay, it's 11:04 now. How much time do you think you need, Mr. Goodman? Or Mr. Harrelson, I'm sorry.
I think 5 minutes. Maybe everybody needs just a brief break anyway.
Okay, I'll put you in there until 11:10. We'll take a recess. You'll stand by. Ms. Navarro, I'm going to send you and Mr. Harrelson a invitation to join a breakout room, and you'll need to click on that link to go in there. I'll stand by for just a second.
Thank you, Judge.
All right, I've sent that invitation to y'all. Y'all should be able to go in there. We'll take a recess until 11:10. Thank you. Ms. Navarro, you'll need to click on that link to go in there. Ms. Navarro, you'll need to click on that link to go in. All right, Ms. Drake. I'm going to close out that breakout room. All right, we're back in the record. C200179CPS. All parties and council previously present remain present. Well, I don't see Ms. Navarro at this point.
She'll be on very shortly, Your Honor. She had to, after we spoke, she had to take a little break.
Okay, thank you. I'll stand by for just a moment. And while we're waiting, I would note for the record that currently in my waiting room, I have Trey Davis, who's the only person in there. And while we're waiting, Ms. Goodman, Mr. Graves, and I suspect Mr. Harrelson, you know what, I know it's not within your control, but do you know roughly how long y'all may be tied up this afternoon?
Judge, I think I have a pretrial with Judge Dusick and then one with Judge Nolan. I wouldn't expect that my two matters would be any more than about 30, 40 minutes.
And that'll be starting at 2?
1:30. Both of them are set at 1:30. Okay.
And Mr. Graves, do you know what your potential afternoon looks like?
Your Honor, I've got pardon me, Sterling County District Court at 1:30. I've got a 2:30 show cause. It's supposed to be in person in County Court at Law Number 2. I've got a 3:30. I've got 2 clients set for pleas in Judge Woodward's court at 3:30. Those are on Zoom. And then I believe I have a 4:30 with you on another case.
Okay, well, I think that answers my question about this afternoon then as we go over. So, Mr. Harrelson, I'm not ignoring you, but I think Mr. Graves indicated that if we go into the afternoon, that's going to be an issue. I plan just for scheduling purposes I'm going to have to take a break about 12:30 because I hearing I have at 1. So I propose to try to go to then and we'll see what we can do about reset if we need to go on beyond that. Let me see if Ms. Navarro is back in my break room. Oh, there she is. She's back on our screen now. Okay, all parties in council previously present remain present. Ms. Navarro, I believe, remains on the stand. And I think if I recall correctly, Ms. Harrelson, I asked if you had any additional questions.
Yes, thank you, Judge. Jeanette, regarding Serenity and the interference with child custody, on that date when you were driving to Lubbock with Mr. Browning, did you have any intention of taking Serenity with you when you left?
No, sir.
Okay, did something occur during your visit that changed your perspective on things?
Yes, it did.
And what was that?
Well, the fact that when I took my daughter into the restroom, she shared with me that she was being touched down there.
How old is Serenity? Or how old was she at the time?
She was 6
Okay.
at the time. She was fixing to have a birthday and be 7.
Did she tell you who was touching her down there?
No, because as soon as she told me that, I grabbed her and I went out the door with her.
Okay. Was Mr. Browning aware that you were going to walk out the door with Serenity?
Not at all. No.
Did you speak to anyone with Lubbock CPS after Serenity told you that someone was touching her?
No, I just I told the lady when she said, wait a minute, what are you doing? You can't take her. And I said, ma'am, this is ridiculous. My daughter said that they're touching her. And mind you, I had made two prior reports to Trey that they were not, bathing her. And, those are reports that had been done already. He said that he was going to get with the parents. Then another one where she told me that the little kids that were there in the foster home, I guess, they were hitting her. And I told him that they were hitting her, and he said that he was gonna take care of that and talk to the foster parents or foster home. I'm not sure exactly who, but I did mention that to him, and he said that he was gonna, get on top of that. So that day when she told me that she was being touched on there, to me that was the icing on the cake. And as in better judgment as a parent, with concern for her daughter's safety, I took her, and my intention was to bring her strictly to community hospital to get checked to see if she was being molested.
Do you know if there was any follow-up checking of Serenity in that regard?
I was incarcerated for 3 weeks until I was able to post bond, sir, so I don't know.
Okay, do you know if Serenity is still in that same foster placement?
No, she's with my mother, sir.
Okay. How soon after you took Serenity was she moved from that foster placement where she was currently?
From my understanding, she was placed with my oldest daughter, Dominic Carruthers, shortly after that.
Is your approach toward this case with Julian, how does it differ from your approach toward the case with Serenity?
It's different because I know that I was wrong for the way that I went upon doing things. I was, I was fighting the systems, the state. I was not being, willing to submit to anything. I was not in acceptance of anything. I am in complete acceptance that everything that is being done now is for the best ability and for the best interest of my children. And at the end, that is what matters to me, is that my kids, whether they're with me or with my family, that they are in good hands and that nothing happens to them. That is what matters to me the most. And I do apologize to the courts for my behavior and for my attitude towards that. I do apologize, and I plan on doing things different, from now on. I know that at the end, all that matters is that the kids, any kid, any child that's in danger this is the correct thing to be done.
Okay, and do you also recognize that while you may not always agree with the department, that they have a mandate to work towards what's best for the child's safety and welfare?
Of course, I do understand that now. Back then I didn't. I was upset and I let my emotions get the best of me. But, I have to think intellectual and what's smart and put my feelings to the side and do what is best for my children.
So should Serenity, so should Julian come back to your home, are you willing to cooperate with the department and the court?
Yes, I am.
With any family-based services?
Of course I am.
And we've already covered this, but your approach with your caseworker in this case, Mr. Davis, is it different from your approach to your caseworker in Serenity's case?
Completely. Even though he's been the same caseworker, I approach him different because I am an acceptance. That's the key word, accepting that I am powerless over things and that the way that I've been doing things have not led me to good results. The results I've been getting are not the results that I've been wanting. You can't do the same thing and expect different results. That's insanity.
So would it be fair to say you've had a kind of a how's this worked out for me so far kind of moment?
Oh, very. The lights went off. Yes.
Thank you. I'll pass the witness, Your Honor.
All right, Mr. Graves, any other questions?
Ms. Navarro, just to clarify, on examination by your attorney just now, it's your statement and your testimony that as to Julian's case, you get it now. Is that your testimony?
I understand that I did wrong. I understand that me fighting and not seeing it from y'all's perspective, from at the end, that it all boils down to the child being safe and being placed in a place where there's not going to be no your possible drug use, no possible assault, no possible violence, no possible, anything.
Let me slow you down there just a little bit. But I mean, you were just essentially saying that as far as this case is concerned, you, excuse me, you're willing to work services, and that you weren't willing to work services before now. Is that, I mean, that's kind of what you were testifying to.
That's exactly it. Correct.
And that includes in Serenity's case. Is that right? Particularly in Serenity's case.
Correct. Particularly. Correct.
Thank you. Pass the witness.
All right, Ms. Keenum.
When you were asked to drug test after the baby was born, did you refuse to do a hair follicle?
That day I did, ma'am. I had been through a lot, so I refused that day. But a few days, I believe, maybe a couple of days later, or collectively around there, I went ahead and I did one. And honestly, I did that because I was tired of being, prosecuted as a drug user because of my ex.
I'm going to object on her answer.
I'm gonna let her finish her answer. Go ahead. If you have anything else you want to add to that, Ms. Navarro.
No, Your Honor. That's it.
Right.
I did do one.
All right. Thank you, Ms. Keenum.
Now, you say that you're now getting drug tested at West Texas Rehab.
Correct.
How are these test results getting over to Trey?
Strictly from the lab?
And how does that work?
I don't know, ma'am. I guess the lab sends them to his email and gives them to him.
But do you have any idea, is this automatic, or you have to get permission?
No. I have signed a HIPAA form from West Texas to release all of my test results to Trey Davis in the department, ma'am.
Okay, so you've signed a HIPAA release.
Mm-hmm.
And do they automatically go to him?
Yes, they don't come to me, they go to him.
Okay. So he will have all of your test results, and if there are no results on those days, then you wouldn't have tested.
Can you rephrase your question?
If he has not received test results from West Texas Rehab for March, from the March date or from the May date, that would be a result of you having not tested?
Possibly correct.
Okay. And who specifically have you told that Serenity said she's been touched down there?
And I actually did an affidavit that was notarized there by the Lubbock, well, not Lubbock, the county, not Lubbock, the county where I was, Reeves. No, I forgot. I don't remember. The county where I was detained for 3 weeks before I got transferred over to Lubbock. I did a affidavit that was notarized there by them of why I took her and a statement of what happened.
Who in CPS have you told that accusation to?
I told that to Trey Davis.
And on what day did you tell Trey Davis that concern, that accusation?
Well, after I was released from custody.
Okay.
And my parents. And my parents.
My specific question was, who did you tell in CPS and when?
Okay, Trey Davis.
Okay. Ask the witness.
All right. Any other questions from any other attorneys for Ms. Navarro?
No, Your Honor.
Okay. Thank you. All right. Ms. Keenum, your next witness.
Your Honor, do you have Andrew Rivera in the waiting room?
I do. You want to call him?
Yes.
I'm going to allow him to come in.
Your Honor, do I mute myself or do I take myself off the stand or?
I'll mute you. Thank you. All right, y'all stand by for just a second while Mr. Rivera is connecting. All right, Mr. Rivera, could you raise your right hand, please? You solemnly swear or affirm any testimony you give today before the court will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes, I do.
All right, the rule has been invoked, Mr. Rivera, which means during the course of this hearing, for whatever its duration, you're not to discuss your testimony or the testimony of any other witnesses with anyone other than the attorneys involved in the case. You're not to view any online recording of this proceeding or otherwise learn what others have testified to in this case. Ms. Keenum, an attorney for the department, has called you as a witness, and she'll have some questions for you to start, and then the other attorneys may have as well.
Okay.
All right, thank you. All right, Ms. Keenum.
Please state your name for the record.
My name's Andrew Rivera.
And where do you work?
I currently work at Angelo State University. I previously worked at Shannon Medical Center.
Okay. And is that how you came to know the mother in this case, Jeanette Navarro?
Yes, it is.
And what was your title when you were employed at Shannon Medical Center?
I was a PRN social worker in case management.
Okay. And for those of us non-medical folks, what is PRN?
Basically part-time.
Okay. And then a social worker, is that correct?
That's right.
Can you tell the court, this would have been back in December of 2020 when you had an interaction with Ms. Navarro, is that correct?
That's right.
Can you tell the court what led to your interaction?
Yes, we were consulted on the case because of a positive drug screen for amphetamine.
And what happened?
I went and did our standard assessment with Ms. Navarro. So just asked her our questions, provided some general community resource information, and then I made a report to CPS based on that positive drug screen.
Okay. And in that standard protocol, did she talk about any prior drug use?
She did disclose prior drug use.
And what did she disclose?
Just that she had used previously. I couldn't speak to how far in the past that would have been or how much.
And do you recall what drug she disclosed?
I believe it was also methamphetamine.
And what type of community resources do you provide to the family at that point?
Well, we provide just typical resources for new parents or parents that are just having another child, just community centers. In her case, I didn't provide any sort of substance abuse resources because she didn't request them. She denied any use, so I didn't provide those to her.
So at one point you said she denied use, but then she admitted use. What do you mean?
I mean that she had disclosed prior use. She denied use during the pregnancy.
Okay.
So she denied current use.
Okay. So denied current use. And did she disclose any other drug, use of any other drug?
No, not that I can recall.
Okay. Pass the witness.
Ms. Goodman, any questions?
Mr. Rivera, you were not the person that administered the drug screen, is that correct?
That's correct.
And prior to your interaction with Ms. Navarro, had you been in contact with Child Protective Services before you talked to her?
No, no, ma'am.
And so the fact that she tested positive for, or there was a positive drug screen for amphetamine, Are you a medical doctor? Do you understand all the science behind positive drug screens?
No, to a very limited extent. We always defer to the medical staff. So at that point, our standard protocol is to consult with the nursing staff and see if she's been administered any sort of medication that could lead to a positive result. And in this case, she hadn't received any medication that would indicate that.
Okay. Did Ms. Navarro give you any explanation as to a reason why there would be a positive drug screen for amphetamine?
She indicated that she believed if anything, it could be a medication issue, which is why I checked with the nursing staff.
Okay. Did she indicate to you that she had taken something along the lines of Sudafed or a allergy-based medication?
I can't recall specifically what medication, but I do know that she said that she had taken medication and she believed that that could be what caused the positive result.
Okay, no further questions, Your Honor.
Thank you, Mr. Harrelson.
Thank you, Your Honor. Mr. Navarro, are you familiar with the affidavit in support of removal on file with this case? Your Honor, I asked that you take judicial notice of that document.
I'm sorry, did he answer the question? I didn't hear his response. Mr. Rivera, did you hear Mr. Harrelson's question?
I'm sorry, I didn't hear a question. No, sir.
Okay, I'm sorry. Go ahead, repeat that, Mr. Harrelson.
Thank you, Your Honor. Mr. Rivera, are you familiar with the affidavit in support of removal on file in this case?
No, sir.
Okay. Are you, then I guess, would it be fair to say that you're not aware that this affidavit, which was sworn to by Jessica Turner, contains hearsay statements which are attributed to you?
Only in that it relates to me being here today. That's the extent that I know.
It states, and I'm referring to the document at the bottom of the first page, it says, Ms. Turner states that she spoke with Monica Gloria, social worker at Shannon. Monica Gloria stated that you, another social worker, had met with Ms. Navarro.
That's correct.
Okay, so that's basically double hearsay. She's saying what somebody else said that you said, correct?
Well, the issue there is that we were on a new charting system. I was not set up in the current charting system. So
I object to the responsiveness of that answer. That was a yes or no question.
I'll sustain that.
Okay, so what this statement, this sworn statement with the court, has a double hearsay statement that's attributed to you, right? It contains.
Your Honor, I'm going to object. That calls for a legal conclusion.
Well, I'll lay it out. This statement filed and sworn to by Jessica Turner states that Monica Gloria stated that she had talked to you and that you had said. So that's basically two people removed from the person making the statement. Would you agree with that?
I signed the note under my own name and credentials. It was entered under a different social worker's electronic medical record, but I did sign the note as my own.
Okay, and fair enough in that regard. And so it states that you stated that you had documented that Ms. Navarro denied all substances except marijuana while on a trip to Colorado. Did you document that?
I may have. I haven't had access to that record. So yes, if I documented that there, then that's what she said to me then.
Okay, but your testimony just a few moments ago was that Ms. Navarro denied marijuana while in Colorado, stating only that she had been around marijuana while she was in Colorado, correct?
I didn't say that.
No. Now, you stated a few moments ago that Ms. Navarro admitted to prior use of methamphetamine. Is that correct?
That's right. That I recalled that and no other substances.
Okay. And so the statement attributed to you says admitted to alcohol, cocaine, and marijuana 10 years ago. It says nothing about methamphetamine. Does that contradict what you recall?
It certainly does. What I have written there is the more reliable record, as I haven't seen that since December. Yes.
Does it concern you that it's attributing sworn statements, or this sworn document is attributing statements to you that you, in fact, did not assess?
Well, that's why I do sign those statements myself. So I signed that statement as my assessment at the time. Testimony today is based on my record, which is why I'm qualifying with how I recall.
So then I'm taking it that it does kind of concern you that it's attributing statements to you that were not part of your assessment. Is that correct?
Sure. I wish I had recalled those details more clearly.
So then the fact is that the details that you recalled to the person making this affidavit or putting it together could have been put out more clearly?
If I had been able to review my notes on this case, that would have been very helpful. We see a large number of consults on the daily basis. So yes, it's very helpful when I can review.
So what we're dealing with basically is somebody's best assessment of what they recall you assessed based on what they heard from somebody else. Is that kind of accurately describe the results here?
We assess based on a positive drug screen. And that's what the CPS report is based on. So regardless of the contents of the assessment, at the point that we have a positive drug screen, our protocol is going to remain the same.
So the actual details in the statement aren't really that important?
They're important, but that's for us to relay to CPS at that point. That's why we document it in our record so that future social workers that take over these cases can give them those details when we can't recall them from the record, but we have it in writing that that's what we assessed.
So obviously something was lost in the transmission here, correct?
I believe I'm the only one that lost something in the transmission in my own statement.
So are you stating that your statements aren't as reliable as you wish they had been?
In the one example that you gave, yes.
Okay. Thank you. I'll pass a witness.
Mr. Graves.
Thank you, Your Honor. Mr. Rivera, I know that probably was a little confusing. I just want to clean this up for you. According to the affidavit, Miss Gloria references the report that you made, the written report that you made. Is that right?
That's right.
And it says that you documented in the record that Ms. Navarro denied all substances except marijuana while on a trip to Colorado. Is that right?
That's
the best
right.
of your knowledge.
Best of my knowledge. That's what I documented. Yes.
Which would, the way that that's written would indicate that that was while pregnant. Is that correct?
That's
So
correct.
I'm going to object to speculation.
There is no time frame on that statement,
Your Honor, Mr. Harrelson was given wide latitude into this document.
I'm going to overrule it for now. If you can try to clarify a little bit further what his basis for any time frame of that
Thank you, Judge.
Colorado trip was.
Well, let me read this line to you again. Ms. Navarro denied all substances except marijuana while on a trip to Colorado. Ms. Navarro admitted 10 years ago she used alcohol, cocaine, and marijuana. But by the basis of that, those two sentences, that would indicate that there was a past and a present tense in this question. Is that fair to say?
I object again, Your Honor, to speculation.
His questioning.
I'm gonna let him answer if he can clarify the time frame he's referencing as to those various statements of possible drug use.
I cannot clarify the time frame on those statements.
But based upon this report, you were required to meet with Ms. Navarro, is that right?
That's correct.
And that's because there was a positive drug screen for an illegal substance.
That's correct.
And during that meeting, at a minimum, she admitted to using alcohol, cocaine, marijuana at least 10 years prior or within the last 10 years and possibly recently. Is that accurate?
Based on my statement.
As to marijuana, not as to the alcohol or cocaine.
Your Honor, I object that mischaracterizes the statement. It doesn't say anything other than 10 years ago. It doesn't say in the interim time.
Fair enough, Judge. I can restate that.
Okay. Thank you.
Just at some point, either 10 years or before that even, but there was an admission of use of those substances. Is that accurate?
Right. Yes.
And based upon that, you're supposed to meet with the person to try to help them figure out if they need special services. Is that correct?
That's right.
Thank you. Pass the witness.
All right, Ms. Keenan.
No questions, and I would ask that this witness speak, please.
Well, let me see if there's any other questions first. Ms. Goodman, any other questions?
No other questions, Your Honor.
Mr. Harrelson?
No, Your Honor.
And Mr. Gregg. All right, Mr. Rivera, thank you for being here. I'm going to excuse you from further participation in the hearing today. If there's no objection, you remain under the rules, so you're not discuss your testimony or the testimony of any other witnesses until this hearing is concluded. But you're otherwise free to leave the hearing.
Thank you.
All right, Ms. Kim, your next witness.
Yes, Your Honor. The department would call Officer Bruce Stewart.
Well, right now, the only person I have in my waiting room is Trey Davis and Monica Gloria.
Oh, well, he says he's dialed in and listening to music. So,
I'm not sure what music he's listening to, but I don't think it's mine.
the department we call Monica Gloria, and also keep trying to get Mr.
I'm going to let Miss Gloria in.
Is he on the phone by any chance, maybe? Mr.
It pops up, if he's in my waiting room, he would be listed in any capacity. I'll stand by. Miss Gloria is about to join us. All right, Miss Gloria, are you able to hear us? I'll stand by. I think she's still connecting. Miss Gloria, are you able to hear us? Right now, I show her is not having any audio. Let me see if I can communicate with her and see if she can correct that.
Okay,
All
can you
right,
hear me?
Miss Gloria, are you able to hear us?
Yes, I can. Can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am. This is Judge
Okay.
Banks. I need you to raise your right hand, please. Do you solemnly swear or affirm any testimony you give today before the court will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes, yes, sir.
Okay, Ms. Gloria, the rule has been invoked, which means during the course of this hearing, for whatever duration, you're not discuss your testimony or the testimony of any other witnesses with anyone other than the attorneys involved in the case pending a conclusion of the hearing. Ms. Keenum has called you as a witness for Child Protective Services. She'll start with the questioning, and then the other attorneys may have questions as well.
Okay.
Thank you, Ms. Keenum. Go ahead.
Please state your name for the record.
Monica Gloria
And where are you currently employed?
at Shannon Encompass Rehabilitation Hospital.
And in December of 2020, where were you employed?
Shannon Medical Center at the now South Shannon.
And what was your role at that facility when you were employed in December of 2020?
Social worker.
Okay. Did you have the opportunity to have an interaction with the mother in this case, Jeanette Navarro?
Not in person. I was there, Andy was there with me to orientate. So I just followed on the case with him. So I was just there for follow-up.
Just there for follow-up.
Yes, ma'am.
And were you an assigned social worker on this case?
Yes, ma'am.
Did you have a reason to have a concern about the mother?
From what I can, yes, from what I can recall, they were concerned about history of substance use, as well as history of CPS with children being removed. And that's all I can recall at this time.
Okay. And did you have the opportunity to look at Julian's records at the time that you were a social worker on the case?
The child's records?
Yes.
Not that I can recall.
Okay. Pass the witness.
All right, Ms. Goodman, any questions?
Yes, Your Honor. Miss Gloria, when you say they were concerned, who are you talking about?
I'm sorry, can you repeat that? I'm sorry.
When you say they were concerned, who are you speaking about?
The nursing staff. They're the ones who send a referral to social work when they have voice concerns. So we get a consult from them. Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And so apparently someone relayed to you that someone had knowledge that Miss Navarro had children removed from her, plural?
Yes, it would have came from nursing.
I'm sorry, Ms. Gloria. Can you restate that? And it appears your device may be muted now, but I was having a very difficult time hearing, and I'm sure my reporter did too.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Okay.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, if you can
Okay, sorry about that.
If you can repeat your answer, please.
Yes, so the referral would have came from nursing staff. They review the records upon admission, and if they identify anything in the chart that requires social work evaluation, they will consult us.
Okay. And so, do you know if CPS would have contacted you or the nursing staff prior to this referral?
Yes, would have contacted them prior to the referral at the hospital?
Yes.
It depends. Sometimes if they already have an open case, they will notify. But if we get on the case and we don't have any knowledge of an open case, we make a referral.
Okay, so do you know which it was in this case that CPS had contacted the hospital?
I do not recall.
No further questions, Your Honor.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Harrelson.
No questions, Your Honor.
All right, Mr. Graves, any questions?
No questions, Judge.
And Ms. Keenum.
No further questions, and I ask that Ms. Gloria be excused.
Is there any objection to Ms. Gloria being excused as a witness?
No, Your Honor.
No objection being heard. Ms. Gloria, you are free to leave the hearing at this point. You remain subject to the rule, which means you're not to discuss your testimony or the testimony of any witnesses with anyone until this hearing is concluded.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Ms. Kim, your next witness, I believe I have somebody in my waiting room on a Galaxy device. I don't know if that is your next
I
witness.
believe that should be the officer now, Officer Bruce Stewart.
Okay, I'm going to bring that person in and see who it is. Now we know right now it's about 11:51. I propose to take to break at 12:30 just for everybody's information. Thank you. Y'all stand by for just a minute.
Your Honor, I would also like to ask if Ms. Navarro and Mr. Browning would please turn their phones back on.
Mr. Morrow and Mr. Browning, we typically require y'all to have your video on as well.
I do apologize, sir.
All right. I've sent Ms. Officer Stewart a note. He's still trying to connect to tell him to hit join audio. I don't know if that's the issue, but right now he's not connected. Let me just confirm he can't hear us. Mr. Stewart, are you able to hear us? Ms. Keenum, if you have any way to communicate with him, you might want to let him know he needs to hit join audio, because right now his device is not connecting, it appears. Mr. Stewart, are you able to hear us now?
Good morning. Can you hear me?
Okay, yes, officer, we can. All right, thank you.
Technical difficulty. I'm sorry.
I'm unfortunately very familiar with those. All right, thank you. Mr. Stewart, I need you to raise your right hand, please. You solemnly swear or affirm any testimony you give today before the court will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes, sir.
All right, officer, the rule has been invoked in this case, which means during the course of this hearing, for whatever duration, you're not to discuss your testimony or the testimony of any of the other witnesses with anyone other than attorneys involved in the case. That would include reviewing any online recordings of the hearing today. Ms. Deborah Keenum, the department's attorney, has called you as a witness. She'll start with a question, and then the other attorneys may have questions for you as well.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, Ms. Keenum.
Officer Stewart, would you please state your name for the record?
Bruce Darren Stewart.
And were you working at Central High School on March the 2nd, 2021?
Yes.
And in that, you're an off-duty officer, but you're working security at the high school. Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am. A resource officer.
Will you tell the court, did you have an opportunity to come in contact with a child by the name of Jalen Harvey?
Yes, AKA Jalen Browning. I guess there was two different names involved, the same person.
Would you tell the court about your interaction or what occurred that day?
I'm going to object prior to Mr. Stewart if he's going to testify about anything that Jalen said as being hearsay.
Keenum.
Well, we haven't gotten to what whether or not he hasn't made any statements at this point. So I first want to get to the point of how did you get called out to have an
Okay,
interaction?
let me, I'm gonna overrule the objection for now. We'll go forward, and if you have a new objection, you can voice it later. Thank you.
How did you receive the call or the request to have contact with the child?
Assistant Principal Sarah Coronado contacted me, and had I went and met with her and I guess the juvenile involved.
And what were the allegations?
Well, the Jalen, which is first name for both, but he alleged that.
Judge, I'm going to object to hearsay.
Ms. Keenum?
Officer Stewart, without stating what Jalen has said, what were the concerns that you were investigating?
Welfare. I guess he had skipped school, and he made an allegation.
Judge, I'm going to object again to hearsay.
Well, at this point, I'm going to overrule it. I don't believe it's being offered for the truth of the matter asserted is why he was taking the particular action. Now, we're going to get into whatever he may have relayed or not relayed. I'll consider an objection at that point, but I'm going to let him testify as to why he was becoming involved with the child. Go ahead, Ms. Keenum.
So, Officer Stewart, you will be able to state what the child alleged, not for the truth, but what he alleged.
Okay. Yeah. When made contact with him, he alleged that to make a Browning, I guess his biological father had assaulted him, and then he ran away, and I guess he was out a couple of days living on the streets. And at that point, that's when I found out that he had been adopted, and that he was assuming, I guess, his original name.
And so you understand he had been adopted by whom?
I guess Mary Harvey was the person who adopted him, and that's how he got the last name Harvey. And then I guess he had left without permission, and then she had reported him missing. So he finally told me that he was reported missing, and then we were able to get CPS involved to get him back to his adopted mother.
Did you have the opportunity to observe the child to make a determination, to see whether or not there was evidence of possible injuries?
Yeah, hold on just a minute. Okay, yeah, when I talked to him, he kind of told me what happened, and I observed what appeared to be dark circles under Jalen's eyes, both eyes, a scratch across his left cheek, about an 8-inch scratch across his upper back, scratches on the lower middle of his back, and on his upper left shin area.
And did you ever have any opportunity to speak with the father related to these allegations?
I did not. I only had a conversation with Jalen.
And then was Jalen ultimately turned over to CPS?
Yes.
And did that end your portion of this matter?
It did.
Pass the witness.
And Ms. Goodman.
Mr. Stewart, you say that you had knowledge that Jalen had skipped school.
Yes, from Sarah Coronado.
Okay. How many days had he skipped school?
I'm not sure exactly how many. Let me see if I put that in my report. It looks like the previous Thursday, about 5 o'clock, is when I guess he had left, and then the day of the report, which was the following Tuesdays when we made contact. So that's what it appears the amount of days was.
So Thursday, Friday, Monday, Tuesday.
Yes, ma'am, according to my report.
Were you made aware that he had skipped other days from?
That was the only days I'm aware of. I don't know if Ms. Coronado had any other records.
Okay. Were you made aware that Miss Coronado had a meeting with Mr. Browning and Jalen regarding going to a boot camp?
I don't recall that. I remember her saying something about having a meeting, but I don't remember what the details were.
Okay. And did you ever have contact with Mary Harvey?
Just on the phone.
Do you know what location Miss Harvey was at or where she resides?
I think she's in Georgia. Let me check. Yeah, missing out of Bibb County, Georgia.
Okay. And did you have any other contact with Jalen after that day?
Not after he went with CPS, and they were going to, I guess, make arrangements to get him back
Okay.
to Mary.
What about Miss Harvey? Have you had any more contact with her?
No, ma'am.
So you don't know if Jalen is currently missing again?
I do not. Soon as he left my presence with CPS, I have not seen him again.
And did you try to contact Mr. Browning after you made arrangements for Jalen to go with CPS?
No, ma'am.
No further questions, Your Honor.
Thank you, Mr. Harrelson. Any questions?
I don't believe so, Your Honor.
And Mr. Graves
No questions, Judge.
and Ms. Keenan.
No further questions of this witness, Your Honor.
May Officer Stewart be excused?
No objection.
Yes, Your Honor.
No objection being heard. Officer Stewart, thank you for your time today. You are excused from further participation in today's hearing, which you may subject to the rule and not to discuss your testimony and the testimony of any other witnesses with anyone else other than the attorneys in the case. Thank you.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Your Honor, my next witness would be Trey Davis, and that might put us in the middle of questioning him.
Yeah, I think at this point, given where we are, the number of witnesses left, and I would anticipate Mr. Davis's testimony is going to take more than the time I have left allotted for today's hearing. So I think I'm going to need to recess the hearing and reset it. Let me ask the attorneys, I have a potentially conflicting setting right now, but my next available setting to resume this, you'll stand by for just a minute, would be the morning of Friday, August 13th, which I know presents some problems for the attorneys due to temporary orders. I have a pending jury trial that may require my time then and may take precedence, but if the jury selection is completed by then I may have that available. So with that, let me ask, do you know what the attorney's availability is on the 13th of August? I would probably want to start about 8:30 or 9.
Your Honor, as far as my calendar, subject to temporary orders that I'm not set for any at this moment, but I'm available.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Harrelson. Do you know what your situation is on that date?
I do, Your Honor. I've got a parole revocation hearing starting at 8:30, and I'm not sure how long it's going to last. But it's a Zoom hearing, but it could last an hour. Hopefully not any longer, but I can't say for sure. Could be longer.
Okay, so you may be available 9:30, 10 or so, but you're not sure.
Yes, Your Honor. I would think so by 10:30 at the latest.
Okay, thank you. Ms. Goodman, you know what your schedule is on that date?
Judge, mine appears to be clear, subject to temporary orders. I don't have any set right now. I do have some process that needs to be served, so it's potential I could have a hearing that day, but right now I do not have anything.
All right, is there any objection to the court tentatively setting it at, let's say, 10 o'clock on that day? That'll be subject one to my jury setting, and second to Mr. Harrelson or any other TOs becoming an issue. That I'm trying to get this heard since we've got been going on so long, but that's probably the earliest I can get to it. Is there any objection in proceeding that way? And then if y'all have an issue, you can let me know.
No objection. I'm with you, Your Honor.
No objection, Your Honor. This is Brad.
All right, thank you, Ms. Gooden.
No objection, Your Honor.
All right, well, I'll tentatively reset this to resume on Friday, August 13th, 2021 at 10 a.m. Subject to the issues done in earlier. The emergency orders remain in place pending that time. All right, thank you, and sorry for the delay. We'll be adjourned for recess today.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you, Your Honor.